Sorry, it was Feb, yeah.
Yeah, because we went to Ireland
then I
the first
went to
week in
Ireland.
March.
We've been remote half the time. My mom died. I mean, there couldn't be more things.
Right.
There couldn't be more things trying to get in the way of us developing our podcast.
Yeah, you got to bank some episodes.
But you think a dead mother is going to stop me talking about anal?
Hell no.
He's a very driven man. We did phone call eps.
We had an episode due that night. The night that my mom died, we had an episode due.
You made it work?
I just did it. I just talked about my mom dying.
Right.
But we did not miss an ep.
No, we didn't.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's some dedication. Because people treat podcasts like very, very optional, you know.
Here's the sad thing.
Gotta be consistent.
It's our highest rated ep by quite a few numbers.
Just you alone about your dead mom?
Well, because I guess it's a hot topic, right? It's like a moment in time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was very raw and.
So, and I'm also
gotta listen to that one.
I'm also not gonna lie. I knew it would be a popular ep, and I was like, "Fuck it, it's good for the podcast."
It is good for the show.
My mother'd be happy.
You know, it'd be amazing for the show if one of you guys died, and I'm not saying that in like a morbid way.
Yeah, okay, I hope it's not me. I'm younger. I have more life to live. I think your mother would be happy though. I didn't meet her, but when we were doing his Caroline show, she said to him like, she was like really excited and she wanted to meet the Irish girl in the show, and then she's like was always really excited about his comedy.
Did you not meet her?
I never got to meet her in the end.
Oh, that is the saddest
little did
part
we
of
know
this.
that you'd never get a chance, Katie. Happy Mother's Day. It's Mother's Day.
But not in Ireland. It's Mother's Day in America, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yes, which is actually, funnily enough, a few people have messaged me and been like, "Oh, I'm thinking of you in Mother's Day." But weirdly enough, I don't actually have a ton of Mother's Day memories because I think, well, definitely one of the last Mother's Days in America was 1990. And funnily enough, I got caught drinking for the first time in my life the night before Mother's Day of 1990.
How old were you?
I was 14.
Oh.
And then ever since that Mother's Day, most of the time I've been in Ireland. And in Ireland, it's in Feb, right? Or is it early March?
It's happened already because I already sent my Mother's Day.
Yeah, it's Feb or March.
So my UK friends, I think celebrated it like March 31st or something.
Yeah, it's just the same as
Ireland's
UK.
not the UK, but you know that, right?
No.
Okay, well,
Part of it
I'll
is.
edit that out.
Okay.
They turn on you fast.
Yeah.
Ireland.
Really? All right. Well, first of all, don't
We
turn
fought a
on
war
me.
with
Don't turn on me. I'm just an American doing the best I can.
You're okay. Northern Ireland is part of the UK, and Republic Ireland is its own country.
Okay. I knew that, but would never have expressed it that way.
It's
Yeah,
totally,
a lot of people don't know. I get a lot
of very famous, massive acts. People have bought tickets to their shows a year and a half in advance. Will have the audience turn on them because they make a mistake of being like, "It's great to be here in the UK." And the crowd will boo them, and you'll never get them back.
No.
Never?
Yeah,
But
happened
you
to Chris Rock.
should know that Trump did it as well, didn't he? Trump was like something about Ireland being a part of the UK. He said it recently.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's not wrong because you just said Northern Ireland's
No,
part
yeah,
of
but
the
Northern
UK.
Ireland's a separate country.
I know. But surely, surely Irish people can understand the bamboozlement of there being two Irelands. And I'm an American. I don't know.
There's a rich history there.
Yeah,
okay?
there's a
I know.
very complicated history.
I'm aware of the complicated history. I'm aware that it exists. I'm not aware of the history itself.
But being an American is an excuse. You're fine. We'll give you that.
honestly-
It's not my deal. It's so not my deal. I mean, I'm Jewish from Israel, so I really don't know.
You're from Israel?
Yes.
You're born in Israel?
I was born in Israel.
Yeah.
I'm a
Oh
dual
my
citizen.
God! Will you do
Yes.
my transplant show?
I will do
Katie.
your transfer show.
You can't be booking shows in the middle of the podcast.
Thank you for asking.
Perfect for it.
She's complaining to
I
me
love
about
it.
being driven. We're in the middle of something else.
She complained about being driven. Being
No, I
driven's
didn't.
the best.
No, I didn't. I said it was great. I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh, why? Because he
Best
exploited his dead
sometimes.
mother for podcasts.
No, I thought it was great.
listens.
Hey.
It was what my mother would have wanted.
I think it was. I
Okay,
agree completely.
This is absolutely true.
She raised a monster.
This is my mother had bad anxiety, but that wasn't a term that existed in the 80s. So we just thought she was insane. But this is how bad my mother's anxiety was.
Mm-hmm.
She was dying. Now we didn't know she was 24 hours from death.
Oof.
But
Were you with her?
yeah, we were there.
Okay.
But so I was on my way back on the Monday morning. My mom died on the Tuesday, and my brother said to my mother, "Now we thought at this stage we thought she was okay. Not okay. There was a lot wrong, but we didn't think she was dying. We just thought she was recuperating in bed." And but I was coming back just in case because there was a few signs that things might be touch and go.
Good.
So my brother goes, "Oh, Ma, Des is actually going to come back for a couple of days." And she goes, "He is? But he has shows in Galway this weekend." She's still worried about that.
sweet.
No,
right
that's
at the
so
end.
That's what your mama
Just a
does.
humble
Yeah.
brag.
Yeah.
It's very
No.
supportive.
I called my mom today. I let her yell at me for 40 minutes.
Oh,
She
really?
started yelling right away. Yeah, I was like, "Hi, happy Mother's Day, Ima." And she goes, "Oh, what are you doing?" Freaks out at me right away. Here's the
Why?
thing: because
Ima.
she has a way. We don't talk as often as We should probably. I should be calling her like a few times a week or whatever.
She should be calling you.
But I just
Goodness,
don't.
she's
I
the
will.
adult.
You know, Mother's Day is like
Right.
New Year's
The-
or
you
whatever.
know,
I'm
she
like,
was
I'll call
the
my
older
mom. But
generation.
she has this way of zeroing in on whatever is actually super relevant to my life right now. I don't know how she could know it, but also very triggering. Like the most triggering thing, like, you know, I'm at like this point right now, career-wise and also in my personal life, where it's like a very, it's a big push right now forward, right? Mostly career, like whatever,
But
personal. is what it
in a
is.
positive way.
In a positive way, yes. But you know, there's always some anxiety attached to that, right? Like you're taking a risk, you're putting yourself out there, like you're doing all this stuff, and she goes, I want to know, why don't you believe in yourself more?
Get out of here.
First thing
She
said,
said
I go,
that? But you
how'd
hadn't said anything.
Nothing. How did you know
She's your
that
mother.
how'd you know that was going to bother me the most? How'd you know it was going to trigger me? But here's
Of
how
course
I
my
know
mother
that
has
I've
no
like
idea
grown as a person. You know when you go to your
Anything
parents'
about me,
house
but I
and
assume
it's the same and you're like,
healthy
oh, I'm
parent-child
so different.
relationships,
Like I've
parents will
changed.
know
It's
something
really the
about
first time
kids,
she started
right?
freaking out at me that I wasn't you know, I was just like, you know, let's hear her out. Like, let's talk about this. I don't know. Like,
parents
what
are
do you have to
Christians, though, so
say?
they didn't
And what did she say?
She
guess
said
that's how that
that
works.
she was like, you know,
Just
it
like
would be, it's a
empirically at this
waste
point.
for you to have like, you know, misplaced anxieties. Because it's a waste of your
No.
energy and it's a waste of your time. There's no reason for it whatsoever. Like the person who needs to know who you are is you, and nobody else needs to, right? She was like, the way that people blow up is, well, that's not the right word for us really, but you know, the way that people like become super successful is that they believe in themselves so hardcore. They have an unshakable faith in themselves, and it means that they can fail over and over and over again.
But that's not 100% true. That's one path to
Anti-fragile.
success.
Well, what's the other path to success?
People that are driven by the fact that they think they're not good enough, so they have to keep trying to prove to themselves.
I don't think those are opposite things, right? Like
No,
have
I
an
know, but what I'm
intense
saying
belief
is
in
she's
myself,
saying
but-
people that have this unshakable belief, but that's not 100% true as the path to
Right,
success,
right.
particularly in the creative world.
I agree, but look, it's you can be super. I don't think that those are opposites, right? Like I don't think that I'm at the pinnacle of skill.
But let me ask, what made her start like this?
I don't know.
It must have been a concern that she had.
She was on your
It
Instagram.
must. No, she's not on Instagram. That's the crazy
there's
thing. It's
no
like she's
way
not
that
on
she's
social.
not. Come on
She's
now.
you know mad foreign. She doesn't like. She's not, and she's
Is
an
Rihanna
older
foreign?
generation, so she's
But
not.
it's not rational anyway. It's not
What?
like
Saying
these
mad
drives.
What is
these
she,
these
like,
lack of
Eastern
belief
Europe
in
or
ourselves, or
something?
various different things that are driving
to
us,
Israel, so it's-
are like rational that you can just decide.
For
Okay,
sure.
right, I believe in
Because
myself.
Karen sounds
Right.
like she was just like.
Well, that'll work for an
United
hour.
States.
It's true.
But it requires a lot of hard work on yourself to suddenly
She doesn't have
make
like
that
a
the
thick
norm.
and
But I
really
think,
accents
but
or
that's what
anything.
she was saying. She was like, some of this is within your control. So if you have anxiety that
You would
becomes
know she wasn't
overwhelming, it's actually not out of your control.
Like,
Your life is within your control
just
exclusively.
English speaking.
And
But I
yeah, that
assume
was a
she
really valid point,
speaks Hebrew
and
as well.
and kind of nice to hear. You know, I think part
Plus,
of
like
her
Russian or
yelling,
something.
like right off the bat yelling,
Yiddish
was
or-
because
Yeah,
she
there's
was
a bunch of things it could
anticipating
be.
pushback, right? Like she thought I was going to be like, oh, this is too triggering, and yeah, I didn't feel like that at all. I like appreciated it. Do you know what I mean?
No, I think my stepmother would give me similar advice. Is kind of like,
Yeah, she loves
Stepmother.
you.
well, I know what you're saying about the anxiety, but also what's the point in worrying? Let's say you fuck up on a show or whatever, you have to learn from it, but then move past. There's a lot of comedians that are way too hard on themselves.
Oh, so you're gonna fuck up.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Oh
bomb.
yeah. Well, that's also a separate skill, the letting go skill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not giving
Yeah.
yourself a hard time, learning from it.
So
Right,
cool.
right.
But all the fucking Tony Robbins self-help bullshit all
love
has
that. I
all
love
yeah,
that.
but I think all of it is full of wisdom. But it's all sportsmen have all
Oh, this guy
adapted it. This
sucks.
sports people, this concept of always spinning it in a positive way.
See how he just like
But
completely changed
that's a
his
trick
opinion
rather
because
than
he
the
just-
truth.
Well, I don't
It's just
see that. I don't think that
surviving
there's.
as well.
I don't think there's a
These
difference
girls,
between a
that's
trick and the truth in some cases. I think anything can be.
That's
You
all
can
he's
reframe
doing.
anything to make it work for you.
No, but
and you can
I guess
reframe
my-
anything
Heard
to
him
make it
just completely
suck.
change his
Yeah, but
opinion.
what I'm saying is,
Is
I
that-
think the results are the same.
Because
Often,
he
sometimes
knew
people
that-
think the results won't be the same if you fucking admit it.
This guy
I fucked up.
sucks.
Instead of turning around and being like, yeah, well, we have to look forward to the future. It's just like, yeah, I fucked up and it hurts like a bitch.
Yeah.
It's
I
actually not
guarantee
going to
you
hold you
Karen
back.
knows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
right.
agree with you.
But this vernacular
This
has
is like a
changed
big
now,
Karen
where it's
thing
suddenly
to
like
do
if you
this.
actually
Tell
admit
the autism guys.
the real pain of it, or the lack of
Haven't met
belief that
any
it's
of
brought
these
up in you,
people.
that somehow that
But
lack of belief
they
is
talk
going to
like
manifest
about
I
itself.
see. I see.
No, I
Right.
like that. I think it's important to
you
see
get
because then
your
you're like,
head
whoa, I don't want that to happen
But there's
again.
some nuance here because when moments of self-doubt arise, it's just as much part of the process as having a lot of faith in yourself and being super driven.
Absolutely.
You know, you
Well, you
can't
can
divorce
own it.
one from the other, and everything's in a
Yeah,
range,
it's
right? You
the
can't be all the way up here without sometimes swinging back down
grandiosity.
there. You
Yeah.
can't. Like the one
Shame
exists
cycle.
on like a continuum, right? So anyway, she had like great points to make, and we ended up having a really nice chat. I'm gonna call her back later tonight. It's crazy. I've never had this kind of relationship.
Now let me
with my
ask you
mom.
this before. Sorry, go ahead, Katie.
Well, I was just going to
Sounds
ask,
like
are you
her
an
mom
only
just did
daughter?
some,
No, I have a younger sister.
Oh, okay.
But I have a
So
younger
your mom's
sister
a
who's-
Jewish mom, right?
Yeah.
So I was just going to ask because I know it's a stereotype, but
Okay.
from all my Jewish friends, it seems to be a true stereotype. Jewish mothers are quite neurotic.
Quite.
So would you consider this a classic Jewish neuroticness or neuroses, or this is more just like your mother is very much into
Neurosis.
self-help?
Oh, I hate this guy.
I would consider it a bit of both. I mean, it is who she
He's
is, and she is
obsessed
such a
with
like
how he's
self-development
coming
person.
He's
not
You know,
obsessed
she's
with it.
not. She does. I don't think she listens to any of the gurus or whatever. I do sometimes. I find them very motivating, but she doesn't. She
calling
doesn't
them
know about.
rabbis,
She doesn't watch
yes.
YouTube or
Jewish
whatever.
girl.
But she,
Gurus.
yeah, it's a little neurosis.
Cultural appropriation.
And it's
yeah.
a little of that. Like she always, this used to drive us, me and my sister, batshit insane as kids, because my mom also speaks with an accent, so you know things just get to you. But she would always tell us to do self-examination.
it's
Okay,
the
that was her
accent. I
word,
think
and we were
it's
like,
the-
please stop saying self-examination. It's like a very specific word that she would say all the time, and she still does. And you know, when you're a teenager and you just like hate everything your parents say, like stop saying that. But I get it, and she was totally right, and that it totally stuck with me my whole life. I'm like, it's not just like being self-critical or whatever. It's really like, what is my deal? Like really looking at yourself like as objectively as you can. And it feels weird hearing your mom say that kind of, because you're like, you can't be objective about me. You're my mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, she weirdly kind of is. And my
Yeah,
mom's
'cause-
like, my mom's cool as shit. I had no real appreciation for her, and I feel bad saying this until like now, like
But
this
that
age.
happens
That's
for
very
everybody.
vulnerable
Yeah.
to say.
Because what happens is when you're, how old are
I
you?
read on Karen is
30.
that she's on the spectrum.
Because I was going to say, when you're in your 20s, you think you
Just,
know
like,
a lot more than you
moderately,
do.
so-
Mhm.
And
That would fit
just
with
time
those
brings you the
weirdness
the
with
wisdom
mom,
that
right?
you don't, nothing's as black and white as you thought.
Nothing's
and
as
once,
black and white.
Once you appreciate the grayness, then you can go, oh,
Oh,
even
this
though
guy
my
sucks
mother
so much.
made all these mistakes,
my
she's
God.
just normal.
She's just a person. It's so weird that
He
my
always
parents
talks
are
with the
people,
same
and
kind of
also I'm at the
intonation, yeah,
age
where it's just
now,
like, it's
a little bit
push, a little
younger than
forward,
they
but it's
had
also-
me.
It's very
Right,
calculated,
so
it's
I'm like
it's in
at
the pocket,
person
but it's
age
like, no, I'm
now,
really-
and it's weird
it
because
really
I
comes off
I
like I
get
really
like I
believe
get
what
their
I'm saying right
struggles
now, right?
in a way that I never
Yeah,
got.
Yeah,
I
well,
bet
to
the look
to
is
think
really
about
like
that
this.
sacrifice right now at this time in your life, I think, fuck.
I can't. It's
Give up
overwhelming.
you're giving up everything.
It's
Yeah.
overwhelming, and I do. It's not even something that really was on my mind before, and now it kind of is. Now I like
compare
have
how
like
he
a.
speaks
I
to
don't know.
how either the
It
two
seems
girls speak.
nice. It seems like a nice
They
direction for
have
your life to go. Some
variants,
kind of
right?
some like
They
something
speak as if
stable
they're actually
and
saying something that's in their head that they
more
care about,
fulfilling than just
The guy always sounds the
telling
same.
jokes to strangers, which I like. I love it.
which
I do it, you know,
sucks.
I do it because I love it. But I don't think any of this really means jack shit without like really solid relationships in your life.
Absolutely.
Who fucking cares about any of
Totally.
this? Who cares about money, property, career? Who cares, right? It's like there has to be like more to that.
Now the problem is that we're almost doing a Mother's Day app now, which
so
was not
true.
the plan. I'll tell
No,
you
it
why.
wasn't.
My mother's dead, and Katie's mother was a fucking disaster. So
was a
this isn't a
disaster?
topic.
I haven't spoken
This-
to my mother in a long
This
time.
isn't a topic
She's
that we
alive.
like to fucking talk about on this
Okay,
podcast,
okay,
Karen.
I've triggered you.
Oh, God,
Oh my God.
I'm totally joking. I'm totally joking. No, but she has a fantastic. I'm kidding, and she has a great relationship with her stepmom.
Yeah, my
That's
stepmom's
good.
amazing. So.
And of course, she can
That's
also
great.
talk for herself.
Katie, shut up. We're talking about your mom.
Katie, there's another girl here now, so we get 50% female voice from this side of the table. It's part of the deal.
Katie, we occupy the same space, so there can only be one.
That's funny.
So it's a breakup app. I mean, I'm happy to continue talking about mother stuff if you guys want to talk about it.
There's
but-
just I don't know how much mother stuff we
yeah,
can
we're
say.
good. Let's leave it. That's a natural end.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
It was great,
Well,
though.
we really
You never know. You never
See
know
how he
how
just
it's going to
pulled
begin,
the
do you?
Yeah, no,
And then,
absolutely.
like,
It's nice and
whatever
But this
the
is the
consensus
breakup
was,
app,
He just
you know,
declared it,
and
he
I'm
decided
excited
it.
about this topic only because I
Oh,
actually
this
haven't
guy
discussed
sucks.
a ton about breakups lately in my life.
really.
I've never heard this podcast
Katie?
before.
How many
Um,
breakups have you had?
Or that might not be
Oof.
true.
Well, I suppose
I have,
what
not that
classify
much.
like real breakups, like
I don't
real
think I have,
relationships. 1, 2,
I tended to,
like I
never
have
got to
4 serious relationships, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4
Three,
ones.
okay.
4 ones that were long enough to be
Enough
like,
that it hurt.
well, 3 of them hurt them. 1 of them hurt me.
No hurt at all for the other 3?
I was out the door probably 6 months before I did it. You know.
How long were these relationships?
The first one was 2 years.
okay.
That was when I was 15 to 18, so that's like a
Aw.
baby.
This is like a
Yeah, no, but
really
that's pretty
good-
big.
Yeah, it was.
That's a
It was
good
long. I
wish length.
was like stayed with him a lot longer than I should have because I liked the drama at the
Yeah,
time.
right,
You know.
right.
Or you
he-
didn't hurt when that ended? That's 2.5 years of your life.
That was the
I
best.
felt a lot of relief. Like
Mm.
finally, he was not he was not, oh, this is so offensive, but he was really unattractive.
Really?
And not that that's, but I thought it was cool that he was like older and he could buy me beer. But then he like did a lot of
Oh,
weird stuff. Like he
no.
pretended he had cancer.
Oh, he was
To a lot of
hot mess.
Oh,
our
she
friends, and he would
just
go
had,
around
like,
with
a
a.
cock
Pretended he had
hand, right?
cancer.
He pretended he did, yeah, and then it
And you
came
knew
out.
he didn't have cancer, or
That's
did he
not-
pretend to you as
stop
well?
it.
He pretended to me as well.
Wildly
Yeah,
red
it
And
flag.
when
came
did you
out.
find out that he
Oh,
didn't
I
have
think one of
cancer?
the guys said it to his
That's so
mother or
beyond
something, and she was like, "What the fuck are you
stop.
talking about?"
That's insane.
So now maybe look, he might.
Oh,
Yeah, but that's just some
Just kinda
bipolar. That's
anxious
some
thinking
weird
about
shit
keep-
there.
Oh, he was
sometimes
just
I
being
feel like
dramatic. He
living
was
that
maybe
lie.
it'll turn out that he did have something.
So
And-
tell me about the.
The hurt one. That was the shortest relationship. That was only 4 months.
But you were obviously like so.
My
in love.
Oh my
shortest
God, I was-
relationship hurt me the most too.
I was infatuated. I like when I walked into the
Infatuated,
bar and I was starting a new job, and when I saw him, I thought, I am fucked. I was just like, he
Irish
was
guy?
Irish
I'm
guy,
sure I missed a couple
half
letters there,
black,
but, you know.
and I just
Half
he's
black.
like the hottest guy until my current person, if they're listening to this. No, but yeah, he was. You know when you just like make eye contact
That's
with someone, you're like,
hilarious.
oh. And then we went on a date that night. He actually
How excited
was
she
meant to be going
because
on a
it
date
was-
with
it's
someone
just
else
like
that night.
what's
She
the
came into
piece
the
the
bar.
other
She told me that he
person.
was just a friend. I didn't realize, but after we broke up, I found out that was like someone he'd been seeing, and he had kind of turned her away in front of me and was like, "Ugh, she's so crazy." Oh, it
Ooh,
should have
what
been a
a
red
massive,
flag.
terrible
Red
red
flag.
I
flag.
know, but I just was like, "Oh, this is obviously some
We see what we want to see.
exactly." And then
But can you remember the hurt? Because I actually
Can you remember
the only reason I'm
This
asking
is some dead
because-
mom talk.
No, because
This
no,
guy
the reason I'm
sucks.
asking is because I actually think no matter how much you're in love, it's actually the first one. I think you can be more in love with somebody after that, but actually the first one hurts like a bitch.
I still do because
The
a
first,
Wow,
the
what a-
first
what a
real hurt.
fresh
friend made a
take.
dig about it to me the
Yeah.
other day,
First
and we've
love
been
is
broken up a
the
year, but a
hardest
friend made a dig
breakup
about it, but it made
no
me
one's ever
cry.
made that
So I was
observation
like, I'm
before, dude.
still, and I think
That's a
even with
brand new
my
take.
current relationship, who's like the most amazing guy I've ever dated, I was so cautious with him. Like we're a few months in now, but I was so cautious with him at the start because
As you should be.
but just because of that previous
Yeah,
one, I
but
felt
as
very
a-
guarded.
He
Yeah,
looks
but you know,
like-
baggage exists for
he
a
must be just
reason.
like-
Like you should be really
He
really
must be a
cautious getting into a
beautiful man to get
relationship.
rid of what he's
Relationships are like a
saying.
big deal.
And
It's like a lot to
no
be
one's
someone's
saying anything
girlfriend
about
or
it.
call someone your boyfriend. It's like commitment's a lot. Even kind of a not, even if it's like, you know, it's not a marriage level
The hotter
commitment.
you are,
I think it's like a
the
heavy
dumber you get to
thing.
be.
Yeah.
So
I
what
don't
are the
like the
words you
rules.
describe to it with the way that you felt at the time?
Afterwards,
That time you had that breakup.
oh, just like
I
empty
hate that
after,
Hus
just
Joni
kind of
does.
like
Here it is.
exhausted.
Here's
I
what
had
his voice
all
is.
my guy
It's all
friends
very-
stepped
it's
in and
very-
told me I had to break up
you
with
know,
him. It was
just-
like
I bet
I mean,
he's
he
never said
borrowed a ton
anything
of
to her
money
his
off
entire
me.
life, like,
he had
I
like
was one of
was trying to
those.
stay with me. He'd lost his
it's just
apartment,
like whatever
raging
consensus is, he
alcoholic.
just believes it.
He like was quite abusive, but masking it through sex that I didn't realize it was physical abuse. And it was until a few of my guy friends were like, you need to stop. And they I was like, oh, okay, right. So I had
What's
to block
happening?
him on everything. He turned up to my house one day,
Drama.
turned up drunk,
Oh.
covered in bird shit. He had slept out on the street that night. It
Jesus.
was
He sounds
really,
so hot.
The hell?
I know. I
What
was
a
like,
mess.
ooh.
What a
Karen just wants to fix this motherfucker so bad.
I'm not such a fixer.
You're
No?
I'm
sure
not
you're
such
the
a fixer,
abuser.
but I do have a lot of empathy for people. So when someone is a little broken, which everyone is, you can't fix
Yeah, this is the
anybody,
girl
but
that dated both
I feel like
Kurt Metzger.
I see how they can fix themselves. I'm like, oh, this
Let's
is like
go,
really
guys.
simple. Like you're a dope person
These aren't people
and
that
you
are
can
just a
develop your
little
talents in
broken.
this way, and this is not an issue, and
These
this
are
you
like
know this you can let go
Hall of
of and
Fame
whatever,
broken
and
people.
nothing works like that. And you know you
Perspective is
can't
that
like
is
push
crazy.
people to you can't push people to like be fixed. You just can't. It always has to be them.
I learned that lesson hard as well. I used to love helping people, so I'm like, yo, I
Yeah,
fixed
so
myself.
did
You
I.
can fix yourself. But
Yeah.
no, you're right. It's not.
People suck.
Yeah, and you only
They'll
fixed
just drag you
yourself
down.
for that stage. There's a lot more fixing still to be done.
Yep.
Yeah.
But funnily enough,
See that-
I
see that
remember being
giant
at a time
neck
where I
he just
fixed
did?
myself, quote unquote.
She was like,
And I remember
feeling
being
good about
really
herself,
fucking
and
confident
he immediately
that
just like
I could help
smashed
other
her
people
down.
to fix. And now I realize
How
I
are
haven't
they
got
not
fucking
calling him
no
out of
shit.
because you think you have the key. You're like, well,
Yeah.
I got
Insane.
through it. I can help. And yeah.
That's where I am
Yeah.
right now.
You think you have the key?
Yeah, like I feel like I've done like so much fixing of myself, especially in the
What are you
last
doing?
6 months or so, or year and
Because
I
some
don't
of
know,
these
a
girls
couple
are
years,
very, very mean.
but more intensely like
and
the
they're
past
just
few
letting
months.
him get away. He must
And
be
yeah, I'm like,
beautiful.
I got you. Like
Well,
I have
honestly-
all the
Guy.
answers.
My advice is while you have that
Congratulations
confidence,
on
while you
being
have
able
that
to say
belief that
stuff
you
like
know,
that.
my advice is
Ugh.
make some YouTube videos now.
That's
'Cause all
totally
these
what I'm doing.
all these motherfuckers that are making money are talking with a confidence that they have the answer that is so misplaced, but
Yep.
yet so incredibly popular.
Yes, that's totally
Like
what I'm doing. I literally, I'm doing it right now.
Oh.
All right, well, you're not advertising your YouTube clips. The
Okay.
reason, by the way, I wasn't trying to grill you about the emotions.
No,
it's just that
no.
I've had many breakups. You know,
this guy
there's only
so
so much
much.
time in a life, so there's
I
not
hate this
that many
guy so
serious breakups that
much.
you can actually have, just because
Okay.
the amount of time it
Oh,
requires
should-
to
should
invest
I
in
do
something that
a-
you would have a serious breakup.
No, I don't.
But for me, I've had
is
more
just
difficult
like
breakups, but the hurt
roast the
of
pants off
the
this
first
guy
proper breakup that I had. I
with,
mean, I
like,
broke up with a girl
proof
when I was
and charts.
15, but that was like my first love. Lost my
But I don't think
virginity,
that's gonna make
and
it
even though it
very
was a serious
popular,
relationship,
so
you're just too young to really understand the
whatever.
emotions.
Like hearing
Yeah.
he's
But the first
done
proper
something,
breakup
I
I
won't
had
do
was
that.
with my girlfriend in Cork, and I will never forget the pain, even though I've had more
I see
serious
it as a
relationships
personal
since.
annoyance.
Yeah.
And in fact, when my mom died, somebody asked me, you know, like, or we were just talking about
I
the
love
feeling,
going
and
to
I was
war,
like,
guys, but I'm
yeah,
trying
it's
to
just
just
like
do
a
it with
multiplied
people
version
that
of a really bad
deserve
breakup.
it.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
grief is just like
Annoying
Yeah.
a
me
bad
specifically.
breakup times whatever number.
Yeah.
But I remember that feeling of like
you know,
when you wake up in the morning
somewhere,
and you have
so
about
I
a
figure I'll
10-second window
place
before
it
you
on people
realize,
that
fuck,
deserve it.
she's
Uh-huh.
gone,
As opposed to just like
we're not
being cranky
together
pants all
anymore,
the time with
and
other
the stopping yourself from not
people. 'Cause it
contacting.
always-
And
The
it was easier.
self-control,
comes out.
yeah.
It was easier
The
in
hate always comes out.
1996
Just a matter
Yeah.
I bet.
in that I didn't have to not text her because texting didn't exist.
Oh my God.
In
it's
fact, I
so
think the
hard to
breakup
not
was
text.
Kinda shit
before
when you get into
Mhm.
a
summer of
direction.
'96, which was when I first got my cell phone. But even though it didn't matter, there was no
You can't just
texting.
stop being
Wow.
angry.
Yeah, no, that is easier. It's so hard now because you got now, luckily, my ex-boyfriend didn't have
That's that
Instagram.
big.
I
He's
only had
way figured
Facebook,
out.
and I just blocked him on that. But I remember when he had emailed me. He got my email, and he was like, I've been off the drink for a little while. Really want to give this a go. You love my life." And
Oh.
I was like, "Okay." And we
Oh,
picked a spot where we
no.
would meet, and I waited there for like 3 hours, and he
Really?
never ever turned
Oh,
up.
you
Now he
poor
ended up
thing.
coming to a
This is
spot
the
he knew I was at,
standard
in, like
narcissistic
let's say a
abuse
couple of weeks later, and trying to
Just right
explain
over the
himself
plate.
or whatever.
What did
But
he
at that stage,
say?
I was done. Oh, my phone broke, and I got
Shut
stuck
up.
at work. You
Oh.
know,
If you wanted to
No,
be
he
there,
got
I
drunk.
would've
That
just-
was it.
Uh-huh.
but it was like that feeling of, oh, I've let myself
Sad's
down
gone.
now. Not
Sad's
just
over.
that. It's like, oh,
Now it's funny.
Good
Oh, you
riddance.
stupid.
yeah, good riddance.
What
What about you?
why don't
Before we get
people-
into the mistakes that we've all made,
That's
we want to
the
do some
stuff.
practical
I just
breakup
don't
stuff.
get
But
it.
before
Okay.
we get into that, can you remember the worst feeling? Doesn't have to be the worst breakup, but
You know what's
certainly
funny?
the one that hurt the
Feeling?
most.
Yeah, so it's funny. I
Everything
was
he
in a
says sounds
really,
like it's,
really long-term
like he's
relationship
acting.
for like almost a
I mean,
decade.
compare with Karen. who
And-
Really?
like, this is
Yes.
just
You're
what the
30.
conscious does.
When did that begin?
It's just like the
Um,
contrast is just
when I was in college.
stunning.
So yeah, I was still in school,
So like 18 to 28?
And I bet
Yeah.
he thinks he sounds awesome, right?
19 to something. It was
This
almost a
first
decade. It
act
was like
he's
9
doing?
years.
For our Irish listeners, when they say school, they mean college.
College,
No,
college.
just so they're
Yeah,
clear.
yeah, I mean university. Yeah. So yeah, I was in my late teens, but like an adult. And so that was a really long, of course, very serious relationship. And I thought we were low key engaged to be married.
Oh.
Like we talked about it sometime. We'd know
That's
like
not being
wedding
engaged.
Were you
plans, but-
engaged? Officially
No.
engaged.
Oh,
Yeah, technically.
No, you both.
Yeah.
I had that too, but that's
This is
not the
also
breakup I was talking
sad.
about.
It's no, and it's not the breakup I'm talking about either. So that breakup was
See how he made it
fucking
about
rough.
himself?
The
And
10-year
She
one?
said- She said she was
We,
engaged. and
but,
that
but
he had
here's
to
my
immediately
point. So
go
you know,
to
we
church
lived
back himself
together. I
to
had
get
to
out
move
that he
out
also
while
was
we were
engaged.
breaking up.
See,
It was
any one of
absolutely
these
brutal,
things
and what
isn't
continued to be
bad,
brutal
right?
for a
We're gonna
while
fuel
because you
them,
know you
but
don't
it's
just
the rapid fire.
a
It's
breakup
always-
after that
he does
much
the same
time is not a
shit.
clean break. It's awful. It's like
That's where the
excruciating.
problem
You
is.
break
Not
up for
any
like a
one
year.
instance, it's just-
So even though I was out, it was like you're not emotionally like totally out. And then I ended up dating someone else.
It's like I'm respecting these people more, and I'm not in
That's
the
my
room.
most recent breakup,
Just listening.
and that one hurt more. It
Well,
hurt
she's
more
gonna jump in
and
and say like how much
for
something hurt him.
kind
It's
of
gonna be like,
longer. Like I'm
it-
kind
somehow
of still
worse.
going through that breakup from like 6 months ago or 5 months ago.
Oh,
And I realized 5 months
cry.
isn't a tremendous amount of time, but we only dated for a year. So
Yeah.
at this point, we've been
thing.
broken up like half the time that we were together.
But,
and
yeah.
that one sucked
Okay, here it comes.
so much.
Here it comes. He's
Like
trying to.
it sucked more.
Because she's
Here-
telling a super
here's
compelling
one
story.
difference
He's
is
like,
that
yep, and
by
he's
the
just waiting
time
to talk.
my really
He's not
long-term
listening to a
ex and
word of
I
this.
broke up, we'd had
Listen to the
plenty of
story.
time to fuck up that relationship. You
Yeah.
know, where you
Compelling.
have
So you
a
felt the
voice.
relief also?
I felt a relief also, and you know, it's really weird to
what you
let go of
got.
a 10-year thing. It just feels you're like,
That
am I?
sucks.
I don't know. You have a
I mean,
lot
it's
of
a
self doubt,
divorce.
and it's a divorce, and you know, you're like, what was this? I don't know. What did I do the last 10 years
Okay,
of
my
my life?
prediction
You
was
know
not
what?
correct.
You know,
I will acknowledge that.
you call a lot into question, and
I
But
expected him to jump in.
I had a while to get used to the fact that we were gonna break up, right? And
Yeah.
also, I was the one who pulled the trigger. I was the one who broke up with him. So, you know, it was my choice.
You guys both lived in New York?
Yeah, we lived together on and off for years. But when we broke up, we were living together. So I had to get my shit out of there in the midst of a breakup. It was the worst. And it was so stressful. But then the guy that I broke up with most recently,
Mr.
the
Rattlesnake?
breakup was really
Or is this-
abrupt.
I'm trying to
and
remember what the timeline is here.
you know, there were, I'm sure, tensions
For my
existing
soap
between us
opera
before we
fans.
broke up, obviously. But yeah, I was still in love with him when we broke up, and I still am now, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm like not over it.
Ruh-roh.
I saw him, I guess, like a month back. Was gonna at a mutual friends thing, and I was going to. My plan was to go in there, look smoking hot, and be like really sweet and nice,
girls.
and but just kind of say
That is how
goodbye
you
and be
are.
like, you know, it was lovely knowing you. This was like a really
make
transformative
him miss
relationship
you,
for me,
right?
but
Otherwise, you
um,
haven't won the breakup.
there's
You're
no
like a
path forward.
fucking poison for me.
Well, I can't. It's like such a trigger, right? Like I really can't go forward and like be okay and hold on to all this. But that's totally not what happened. Like we had like a really nice reconnection. We ended up talking and like catching up. We didn't even get that deep into like
He,
our
like,
shit,
really
right? Our
love-bombed me
relationship.
and everything, and
I
he was just
explicitly came
different,
there with
all
the goal of
stuff
not
I
doing
didn't
that. Like I
like,
didn't
he
want to be
wasn't-
like,
no.
so what happened between like it's not the time and
This is
place.
also
We're
just
gonna resolve it right now.
tragically
But yeah, it was
predictable.
lovely. It was so
Stop
nice
being
to see him. It
tragically
was a
predictable,
totally different
people.
vibe. It
Everyone's
felt
just by
different
Jimmy,
than when
so
we
there's
were
nothing I can
together
do
because
about
there were
it.
no stakes. It's like it's not my boyfriend anymore.
I know, but
so
you don't think that's dangerous?
what's dangerous?
The way
It is
that made you
correct.
feel.
Of course
not-
it's
not for
dangerous.
that
I'm
reason, though, you
super
dumb
not over that, right? So it's on top of the breakup. Now I'm not over this little
guy
interaction we
sucks.
had, and we didn't have sex. I was like, because I knew that would really fuck me up. Like I'm not doing that to myself, with full knowledge that I'm just gonna. What am I gonna just cry for years now? But yeah, so it wasn't the goodbye I'd anticipated, and that I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, yes, I know. I just said I have
Maybe get
confidence in the
backwards.
So
answers.
he broke up with you.
No,
What happened
I broke
here?
up with him, but he kind of left me no choice. At the
Yeah.
time,
Oh, he
I felt I had
cheated.
no choice. I
He
felt,
cheated.
you know, I felt disrespected by him in certain ways,
Mhm.
and I felt
The
like I just
cheating
couldn't
way.
stay in this world. I didn't see. It didn't even occur to me to not break up. I couldn't see a way to not break up with him. I was so hurt.
Do you think that part of the
I want more details.
the more hurt
What-
that
what
you're feeling
exactly
is the
happened
sort
here?
of potential destroyed, or
He's
the
asking
sense that
such
it
ter-
could have been
my-
something else,
I
rather
feel
than
that
being
there's no
absolutely
details.
sure with
Don't
the 10-year
say-
relationship?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have
yes,
this
yes,
one,
yes.
which is just so
A
exciting.
little open-ended, yeah.
Yeah.
There is some of that, right? Like when my long relationship ended, there was a kind of finality to that. Even though in my,
Karen is
you know, it's
completely
really,
carrying
it,
this episode.
I'm very
That must be
nostalgic.
sad
It's
if she's a
hard to
guest.
just get over it, and you know, I missed him a lot. You know, my 10-year ex, I missed him a lot. That was my best friend for a decade. So I would tell myself stuff to just like get through like days and weeks, right? Like, well, you know, maybe we'll both grow and then we can reconnect.
Mm.
And who knows what'll happen in the future? You know, as long as you're not dead or married or pregnant, you know, life is weird. People get divorced and remarried and stuff. Like, I don't
They're all the
know.
same
Anything's
category, I
possible.
guess.
But the more time goes on, the more I'm just like certain that that's not going to happen. But with this newer guy, I'm not certain of any of that. I don't have clarity on that, right? I don't know what the future holds. I still really care about him a great deal.
Now,
And I
here's
know
the
the
thing.
feeling's mutual.
I'm not
How
going
are
to
you
get into
not
any
pumping
details,
her
All right.
for details?
but I have a little background
Why
information on
not?
the scenario that you're
Ugh.
talking about.
Me
Yes.
too.
His instincts
So-
suck.
Are you ever afraid that part of
Afraid.
this longing, passionate energy comes from a dysfunctional place? Because he's a complicated dude.
It's a complicated person. Well, what do
So
you
this
mean
is
by
Lewis.
dysfunctional place? On my end?
Yes.
Right?
And by the way, I didn't bring you here to grill you about this.
No,
I'm just curious because I can
Because
identify
everyone knows this person.
with
They're talking like how
the intensity and the
they're
longing
being very careful.
that
They're talking
tends
about
to be
it.
stronger for some reason
A lot of
in the
reasons why I think
scenarios that are less
Which,
healthy
how
or
they're
more
being so
dangerous.
delicate
And
about
I am
this
the exact
kind
same.
of gives you some insight into how, just how
Well, okay, so it's a
much
good
of a cuckoo bird
question.
he is.
I think
the scene.
that look, as much as our relationship was
assume it gets
slightly
pretty dark.
unusual in certain ways, that
dark,
wasn't
dark,
the
dark
dysfunction
zone.
between us. Our
Maybe that's
thing
what
was
that-
like, we were so obsessed with each other, and it was such a high to be around each other, and the sex was unbelievable, and like that was also kind of new to me, like that level of chemistry. with someone.
Chemistry.
was new to me.
It's like
Which goes hand in
infatuated.
hand with this very thing that we're talking
Absolutely.
about.
It's
Yeah.
like a drug. I've never been an
Literally is a
addict
drug.
of anything. I've done plenty of drugs. I just haven't. You know, I'm just like, it's not my personality. But
Me too.
I was balls out addicted to this person.
No, but it's the
Oxytocin?
exact same way.
Addicted.
I
And
totally
so the
understand.
longing is also that. And so by the time that me and my 10-year ex had broken up, there wasn't, not only wasn't there that
That's the
explosive
first
chemistry
Kurt
anymore,
Metzger.
but, you know, even though we loved each other
A
so
little bit
much, but
canceled.
also
He was associated with Amy Schumer. I think it was a writer.
that
for-
addiction had faded. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, Icarus got
I
too
could
many
see
views on
myself
it.
living without him. I could see myself living.
Interesting discourse.
I could see myself just not being in that relationship. And when this relationship ended, I was floored. I was devastated.
But the infatuation would fade there too, though.
Yeah, and I think
I'm not
that's-
letting it go. Yeah, I'm like purposely not letting it go.
I think there's something so unhealthy about us wanting to be in those type of relationships. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
of course, you and your tenure ended for a reason, but I do think long term, it's never going to be that infatuation. It's never.
Well,
there's going to be times.
You just nailed kind of our dysfunction, right? So it was like that. So yes, with the ex I was engaged to,
Use names. What are
we
doing here?
we had settled into our relationship pretty
Like, how
quickly,
is
right?
anyone
We'd settled
outside
into
of the
like
scene supposed to follow this?
you know, there's the frenetic beginning stage, and then
Good
you
word, I love
kind of
that
mellow
word,
out. And we
frenetic.
were really content that way for a while.
Rocket League is a
Me and
frenetic
the
game.
newest guy never got there, right? We never got past it started to clash. The realities of being in an actual relationship with a human being, which is messy. You're going to get mad at each other sometimes. Sometimes you're super in love. That's just what it is. We never could reconcile
be.
that part of it with how infatuated we were with each other. They're actually incompatible.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
They're actually incompatible. So
It's
us-
exhausting.
It's exhausting, and us being
Yes.
so in love made us unable to deal with normal relationship issues. So if we'd annoy one another, or if something came up, where it's like, "Hey, what the fuck is that?" We felt we just couldn't. We felt really unable
So
to
I've
address
been in
those things
pretty much
within the
exactly this
relationship because it
situation.
felt like it was going to fall
And it
apart.
is.
Yes.
And we treated it in a very brittle, fragile way. And so eventually, that kind of prophecy fulfilled
also
itself, right? If you
terrible.
treat something as
So,
breakable, it'll break.
What she's talking about, yeah.
So yeah, it broke.
Yep.
Yeah,
Very
I
relatable.
because everything you're saying I
Very
relate to because I'm
relatable.
in the first calm,
You should.
easy relationship I've ever been, and I'm like, it's nearly off balance for me. Like I'm used to the possession, the obsession,
Yes.
the jealous, trying to control. Like I'm not jealous, but I'm used to dating people who are like more dramatic and like stepping around that.
Was that Taylor
Whereas
Swift song, guys? About
this, yeah,
very
it's hard
topic?
trying to be in something that's calm and normal
Well,
and
here's
healthy.
what threw me about our
I
last
missed the
interaction,
misery
right?
from a
Because I didn't go
hailstorm.
home with him. And
Et cetera, et
we
cetera, et cetera,
it was
et
the
cetera.
first time we'd had an interaction that was like that. It was calm and like sober and really, really nice. It was like we were friends. It was like reconnecting with an old friend.
It's a lie.
What's a lie? Is it? Like, oh my God.
No,
It's
but-
entrapment.
No,
This is
no,
so
but
triggering.
no. There's nothing sinister, but the problem is that. So I'll just give an example.
Okay, okay.
My scenario
That's all it
doesn't lead
is.
to a negative thing, but so I nearly married somebody. I was with somebody for 9 years, on and off. But one of the breakups was quite long, like a year and a half. I think we were apart and
shit.
completely separate relationships in the interim. And then coincidentally enough, I was filming the Des Bishop Work Experience, which was actually the show that like launched my career in Ireland. And she was a photographer, so I got her to do the pictures. Now we had continued to do kung fu. We were in a kung fu class together,
Okay.
and we had
Kung
managed to
class
maintain what could be
Ireland.
considered like
Sounds like
pretty
such
normal enough
horseshit.
relationship. And we never
How,
hung out,
right?
but we were in this kung fu class together, so we saw
Okay.
each other from time to
And,
time.
like, what are
But
the
then I
odds
got
it's
her to do
actual-
these
I mean,
photos,
come
and for some reason, when she came
guy.
down to do the photos, there
Adult
was this
karate?
thing of, oh, well, this is kind of nice.
Anything that's not specifically MMA
And
is adult karate,
so
guys.
we
Just
started
since, like, oh, I
just
did
talking
Taekwondo.
more, but not
Oh,
being
cool,
together,
adult
but just
karate.
like
Yes.
talking more.
Okay.
And then she said, I'm moving to London to develop, to further my photography career. And we were like, well, sure, you're leaving in September, so we might as well fuck around in the meantime.
Of course.
And then by the time she left, it was like,
Oh, that
well, we might as
sucks.
well try to have a long distance relationship.
Oh no.
And then 4 years later, our engagement broke up. But what I'm saying is
Yeah,
that
but
you have to be.
that's what broke it. You can't go from an intense relationship, year and a half long breakup, to then long distance
No,
with
I
the
know,
same
but
person.
but what I'm saying is that's just one particular scenario. My
I'll
point
get
is
it.
that we weren't even gonna get back together.
Yeah, right.
So it's dangerous when you get to that
I agree.
that friendly place, because eventually you will get back together.
I agree. I think as well, if you want to move on from him, you got to cut him out cold turkey
so
like cigarettes. You
dumb.
got to throw him away.
did.
No,
That's-
you went to that party knowing he
you
would be
didn't.
there.
You had a slip.
I-
Admit
had a
it.
slip. You had a
I-
You gotta go
cigarette
back and
you're
get your
off
one
cigarettes.
your 1 day coin.
We had
Yes.
we
That's an
had,
AA
had
joke.
I
nothing
knew it, I
to
knew
do
it
with
though.
each. We,
It's not on
we
TV.
had no contact from the breakup until that point when I knew I'd be seeing him at this party,
Oh, so
and
be
then
anonymous,
since then
guy.
I've also not had contact.
Yeah,
Well,
but
that's pretty good.
yeah. You know, you are, in fairness. And
Well,
we've,
you're
we've
not. We're not saying you're doing.
no,
anything
no,
wrong.
no,
No,
but
no,
just
you
just
can
if you
if you
can
want.
do it for the future, because I
so
know
good,
where I've
guys.
I've gone back, and I'm like, okay, I should have just cut them out. But we've spoken about this not on the podcast, but
Yeah.
you've talked about how important it is for you maybe to be alone for a little while, because you've
For
come out of a
sure.
10-year
Because I never have
on
been.
and
I
off
would
for a
just like to
year,
hear
and then
Katie
straight
and
into a year.
Karen.
I never
relationship.
have been. I've never really
Having
been on
the
my
guy
own
in
as an
the room
adult,
for this
which
long
means I've
specific
never really been on my own.
conversations, like
Went from my
really,
parents' house, and then I was in college for a hot second before
like,
I
taking away from it.
met someone, and he was not my peer. He was 10
Oh.
years older than me, so I've like always
The
had
10-year guy
someone-
was 10 years older than you.
Yes.
Ah.
So it was
Just
that was the whole
two
thing, and then
females
Oh, he was 28 when you were
just talking
18.
about
yes.
Or 29 when you were
it
19.
involves.
So
I understand what
you
boys
know,
talk about when
Wow, you
It's-
fucking left him high and dry at
I've been
40, huh?
away from.
he's
Wow.
he's fine.
Enjoy your
He's fine. He went on. He moved on faster than I did.
Oh,
Only
Much faster than I
technology.
did.
guys
but,
do. But the hurt comes back to haunt them
'Cause
later.
remember,
on.
That's
But we'll
exactly what
discuss
happened.
that.
That's exactly what
It
happened.
We'll
has been
discuss that.
impossible
That's what
We'll
happened.
discuss that in
for
section
men
3.
to hear what-
Really?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my
Right?
God! I'll
Only
settle
the
in.
podcast.
I'm gonna need another
Not
tea.
possible.
Well, no,
Uh,
conclude this, and then maybe we'll get into
And,
more general
gender
topics
relations.
about breakups.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm
I just gotta
not
talk about
only
that
am I
now.
not
That's
over it, I
exactly
don't
true,
feel
isn't
on
it?
a special need. I think I'm handling it fucking perfect. Like we're not
there aren't
talking
very
right now
many-
because I can't
I guess
take
there
that.
are.
I just
I don't
can't.
know.
I can't take a distraction like that. I have to do my own thing for a while. If we start talking, it's like then what? Honestly, then what? What are we gonna be like friends? I
Yeah.
can't talk to him without
No.
having feelings, and I can't have feelings
that would
without
be the
being
then
super
what?
engrossed in this, and I just cannot do it right now. So, and to be fair to him, I think he's doing his own thing too. So this is all healthy and good. And in my heart, I'm not over it, and I'm not pushing myself to be necessarily over it. I'm not pushing myself to control my feelings and thoughts
Yeah.
because those I can't.
No,
I'm
you're right.
pushing myself to control my actions because that's what I have control over, and that has been a wild success. I got to tell you, like I've never been funnier on stage. I've never worked harder in my life. I've never been more productive. I'm just doing what I got to
have to let
do.
the heartbreak
How I
fuel
feel
you.
is almost irrelevant.
I think I
Oh,
may have
Karen.
said this on the podcast
Oh,
before, but it's
God.
like my favorite thing. And
That's
actually,
not good.
my stepmother said it to me, but
That's
you're
what people
just
say,
in
like,
emotional
you
prison for a
know,
little while.
when
So
they're
do you know what I
heading
mean?
for
Like
the-
it'll hurt.
for,
It
like,
hurts less now
the
than it
mental
did 3
breakdown.
months ago, but you just could keep doing it. In 3
what
more
I feel
months,
doesn't
you're gonna
really
feel
matter.
less. But then every time you see him again, it's like a setback. But you just gotta
It
do
is
the
a
time. You gotta
setback.
do the time.
Or you fall in love with somebody else.
Yeah, you'll fall in
You
love
get
with someone else.
infatuated with some other emotional mess.
Yeah.
So what a blessing. You're
hate
right.
these
It's not
guys so
enough to move
much.
away from something. You have to move towards something else. And at the moment, it's comedy and my friends. And it's
So
not quite.
great.
It's not quite enough.
That's
It's
great.
not quite enough. It doesn't quite fill the void of
yourself
someone you're in
towards
love with.
something.
Just doesn't. But it's good enough.
Yeah.
good.
And
advice.
of course, there will be other people. So it's fine. I can't control that either.
No. Wait, you know what I just realized?
What
I came to America because of a breakup.
did you?
Yeah, I just totally forgot. I was
really
with this guy
funny.
for 3 years. We broke up, and I broke up with him. And then, like a week later, he kissed a girl we worked with in front of me. And
Ooh.
In
it was
front of
in
you?
front. Oh, it was like, cause he
It's
was.
like immature.
It was like
another
we had a
narcissist with.
staff party, and we
Jesus
all worked together,
Christ.
and we were going to the staff party.
Somebody has a type.
And then me and him, we were only broken up a week, and we'd been chatting the whole night. And this girl never liked me
Shock.
anyway. But she was wearing his jumper, or his jacket, and she came over and she said, "I'm just wearing his jacket because I'm cold. I'd never do that to you." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I don't care." No, I did break up with him, so it's not like I had a leg to stand on. But then I went for a drink, and I came back, and they were kissing, and I just left because I
Yeah,
was like,
boo.
I'm not even going to give him. But then for weeks later, they would work together, and she would come apologize to me, but then she would do something nasty again, like she would say something mean or.
How old were you guys? It's like kid shit.
Well, he was 6 years older than me. I moved over here when I was
Oh,
24,
no.
23,
Okay.
24. So I was a year out of that, but on and off for a year. We would hook up, and then he would come and tell me after work. He would arrive up and be like, "Oh, I slept with her, but I was thinking your name the whole time." And I
No
was
way
like,
he said that.
Ew.
Oh,
Swear
that's
to God.
just,
So much.
It was so manipulative.
very dramatic. So the last time he
That's
did
just
something like that, I was
standard
walking by
narcissistic
you.
this guy made. this guy didn't pretend he had
Right
cancer,
over the
right?
plate.
No, no, no.
You picked some weird ones.
And
man.
again, maybe the other guy,
collection.
maybe the mother didn't want people to know, so maybe the other guy did have like a weird.
Yeah,
Who
so
knows?
He
So-
didn't have cancer.
Well, he was, you're young,
And
dramatic,
I
but yeah, I'd
invested
pick him.
in
My dad is
psychology,
always like, I
so
just
that
don't
is part of
understand
why I'm
your
attracted
choice
to
in men.
comedy.
But so
like a
my dad
circus
made me
of-
break up with this guy actually.
of,
Because my
psychology.
step grandmother had
It's
passed away and he didn't come to the funeral. And my dad was like, "Where
I
is
think that
he?
is
Like he should be helping
disrespect
out." And he was like,
people,
"Actually,
they
he's not
do
that nice
portray
to you."
them
And he drove me
on
up
an
to the
artistic
house.
level, too.
I packed up my
Yeah.
stuff and then I broke up with
Comedy-
him while he was in
comedy is
bed,
art.
which he was not happy about. But I knew
And
I
then
wouldn't
any
have.
comics
I had my
usually say that
cat
shit,
and
then
my
just,
dad's.
like,
I had a
watch
getaway
the
car
face
ready
they
to go.
make.
Aw.
But we lived together
That's
and
the last
it's
thing I
just
wanna
mess.
hear.
But so after the last
If you say
thing
anything
of
that's,
me
like, taking
of them
comedy
two of
seriously,
their drama,
that's a
I walked by
fantastic way
Use
to
It, which is where you can buy American visas,
Make a-
and I had
make an
the
actual
exact
comedian
amount of
very
money to get the
uncomfortable.
visa.
A
I
J1,
They can
a
only
student
function
visa.
if
Yeah,
Gotcha,
so
gotcha,
there's the visa
gotcha.
to America, so I put my money on it, and
It's
he
like this
couldn't
really
use
weird
it
thing.
until you graduated. I still had 9 months to graduate from
I didn't
college,
explain it
so
well, but
that was it. And then he said to
There's
me
something to that.
right before I left,
It's
like,
like
"I'll
the
move
minute
to
you take
America
comedy
with you," and I was
seriously.
like,
No.
"No,
Funny
thank
No.
you." And that's
Let me escape you.
yeah,
Yeah.
and but look,
Amy
I'm
Schumer
glad
disease.
all those things happened because the best thing that ever happened to me was
She
moving
used
to
be pretty
America.
funny. She was on
So-
TV
That's
all
right.
the time, and
It
she
was-
on there.
oh,
Damn
To
right.
be in America.
Hell yeah.
To be in America. No dick will get in the way of me moving to America.
That's
And
famous.
I've already
Never
mentioned
let
I
dick come
hadn't
between you and your dreams.
orgasmed during sex
Then
before I
she
moved to
felt-
America, so
You
I'm
never
glad I
had?
didn't say.
What? Hold on.
Wow, really
Sorry,
worked
if he
out for
doesn't listen to
you.
this.
Yeah,
Or if
worked
his
out.
friends listen to this, sorry.
Isn't this the greatest
You don't have to
country in the
keep
world?
apologizing to people that listen to the podcast.
Well, I know that my friend who's friends with him specifically listens to this.
Yeah, who
one of the
gives a fuck?
one of the guys shared.
Fuck this guy.
I said something about
Dude,
rating.
fuck it.
He fucking said to you, I was thinking about you while I was fucking my new girlfriend.
Yeah, and he was
Fuck
like,
this guy.
he
You
had
don't have to
cor-
apologize
He had
to him.
cornered. You're
Yeah,
right. Actually,
agreed.
fuck you.
Also,
He
that's
had
such
cornered me.
manipulative bullshit.
Well, he
That-
co-
I would never say that.
Do you
I
know
only
what-
say that to girls that I fucked once and they're away and they need to feel special.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
he was the
You're
worst
a
guy.
delight.
I just think about that.
Did
I
I-
don't let anybody know who I'm thinking about.
Did I say this on the podcast? He was like really
Okay,
aggressive.
so
He would like
Karen
wake me up during the
doesn't
night,
like
being
him.
like, "I know you're sleeping with Gary," and I'm like, "Gary's my best friend," but I'm like, "What the fuck?" I've never cheated on anyone.
Katie's tricked
I
about.
think he might have been away, but he pushed me one night,
Yeah, so
and my
she's
cat
always
was
being
on the
tricked by
bed,
this exact
and
trick.
my cat like skid at him, and then he turned around and shouted at my cat, and then my cat shit on his side of the bed. Isn't that amazing?
that your cat is better at dealing with your shitty boyfriends than you are?
Yes, I'm better now.
Cats-
I was younger me.
That's so fucking abusive.
Katie's
To
now
shove
the,
someone away.
Half of
Katie's
them
now the
are
cat.
co-host here.
She's
So
yeah,
not.
You're falling for the
it
exact
was,
same
yeah.
trick
It's
again.
pretty
physical
bad.
abuse.
Yeah, that's physical. That's physical. That's
But
horrific
Katie
abuse.
turned into the cat.
She turned into the cat. Oh, you
No.
you
She's-
manifested that cat shit.
Yeah, I
No,
did.
I'm saying now
I
Katie's
think
the
the
cat.
cat
Yeah, now I'm
manifested
Oh,
like-
that
good
shit.
for you.
Nobody fucks with Katie
Be the
now.
Nobody
cat.
fucks with me. Now,
She'll
now,
shit
Sit
on
on
the
the
fucking
bed.
Now
shit on the other side of the bed. You fuck with her.
now I'm in such a good, like I'm treated so well in my relationship. He makes me breakfast every morning, dinner, and
Aw.
like treats me way too
Good.
good, pays for everything.
Can't wait till this relationship turns into a disaster
it's gonna-
because I'm going to play her back all the bullshit
I
she
know.
said.
He did do one weird thing. He did one weird thing that I spoke to Des about.
Oh,
but
well, we did that on
Okay,
another
okay.
podcast. Are you going to talk about this now?
I don't know. I'm afraid to. He did one weird thing that is a slight red flag, and we've talked about
Guy.
it. And I'll talk about it
All
on
right,
the podcast.
tell it its entirety. Don't rush it because I know I've heard it, but nobody else has.
Should I
So-
talk about it?
Yes.
Well, it's up to you. But if you're going to
Yes.
tell the story, tell it as
Yes.
if no one's heard it before.
Okay, what happened?
Do you know what I mean? Just because.
I'm afraid he's gonna listen to it and get mad at me.
Well, then don't say it.
I will. Okay, I'll
Okay,
save
coming
it.
around to this
Hi,
guy.
love you people, but we'll wait until.
I agree that it's not the best to talk about your current relationship on a
hate old men.
podcast. I've made that
Yes.
mistake
That-
so many
like,
times,
Yeah.
and I will never do it
Shame.
again.
And he's so good. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you may play all this back
Yeah,
when
just,
you.
just drop it.
Yeah, sorry.
Just save yourself.
You're gonna destroy your relationship by
I know,
talking
Plus,
about
we're
it in
talking
public.
about breakups,
I
not,
think-
Yeah,
not
yeah.
your fucking bullshit
Yeah.
hope for
But
the
I
future.
just mean it's nice to
About your
be.
hopes and dreams.
It's not. Yeah, it's just nice to be in something nice. I
Yeah, well,
think.
stop. Just shut up, Katie. We're talking about
Katie,
breakups.
I've gone through so many.
I
abusive
am
breakups.
invested in you not ruining this relationship on this podcast. It's not worth it.
Silence.
I want to hear it,
Okay,
though.
so let's
hear
just
it.
just
Let's hear
for
it.
comedy purposes / advice purposes.
All right.
Katie, you had a list
Yeah.
of stuff that you said was obvious, but let's
Yeah.
from the obvious things, let's have a discussion.
Okay, so
These are breakup tips that you got from the internet.
Yeah, I googled how to break up with someone, and I went through a bunch of them and put all together what were the similar things they say. But they say in person is the best. Obviously,
That's
we
the
all know
scientific
that.
method.
Yeah, we've discussed that before about text
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Being
How long?
honest.
How
Fuck
no,
girl.
chill.
sorry.
Let's just
I guess you
stay
told
on
her.
that for a sec.
Okay.
See
how
he just
long do you
jumps on them?
think?
Hold-
How,
okay,
how,
I think
how many
okay, never mind.
interactions lines
this
do you
guy.
think one
He had two
has
good
with
ones,
somebody
but
before it's
nope.
inappropriate to
This
just
guy
be like
sucks.
text?
Wait, what do you mean? How many?
Just say
first-
like, you know, you know, how long will you be with like you hooked up a couple of times
Oh,
and you don't want to
how
hang out anymore? Is it, you know, because we've had this we've talked
a
about
breakup.
that.
By breakup, I mean
No, we're not
breaking
talking
off
about
a
break-
relationship. I
Yeah,
don't,
no. I'm just taking it out of that just for a sec.
Fine.
Saying
I
when is it no
Karen's
longer
being
appropriate to
intentionally
Just text.
just be like,
obstructive.
listen, I'm just not into it.
She doesn't like him. I think
Because
that's what I'm
we've
hearing
had
here.
mixed result. Was it Karen Fian was like, whatever, I can't be fucking dealing with this right now. Just fucking text.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not about length of time. It's about like depth of
Ruh-roh.
emotion and seriousness of the relationship. Like you can be in a serious thing very quickly
Yes.
where it would be inappropriate to be like, okay, bye, like over
Yeah.
text
Yeah.
or ghost somebody. Or you could be hooking up for a while and it's really never a
Yeah.
thing. And then you go, hey, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a timeline.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's an
So
emotional
fucking
thing.
handy though, when you just fucking text, you know? Because then it was like,
Oh,
oh,
I
that's
ha- I
terrible,
ha-
but it's like, yeah, but it's done, isn't it?
I've
Now it's
gone on-
fucking done.
It's done. I've gone on some. So I have not hooked up with anybody since me and my ex broke up back in December. It's been a minute. I'm not really
Jesus
like so
Christ.
hookup.
It's been 5 months.
It's been 5 months. It's been.
2019, I guess.
It's been 5 months.
You haven't even kissed a guy.
I kissed one
Oh,
guy.
wait, no. I
So
think
I've
my
been on
timeline's
2
way off
first
on this.
dates.
Hold on.
I'm not like a hookup
Hey,
person.
by the way,
but I
did
was
you
like,
get on Raya or no?
so I'm like on it, but I didn't set
Ignore
up my
the timeline,
profile
guys.
yet.
I'm
But you're on it.
ignorant.
You were accepted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
Karen on Raya.
Yeah.
I gave her my friend pass.
Aw, that's
Yeah.
really
So
nice.
now they were
hate
like,
this guy, though.
congratulations, and I was like, oh, it felt good for like a second. Then I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna do it now.
You're one of the elites.
I'm an elite. I know they accepted me pretty quick. So I'm
No.
fucking great.
It's a guarantee. The friends pass is a guarantee.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought
That's
it was
what I
like
was
a
gi-
compliment.
No, that's what I was giving
I thought it was
you.
special.
I was
They
giving you.
emailed me like, "Congrats,
Yeah, 'cause the
we've
friends
thought you
pass.
through." That's not what they
Guarantee.
said. That's not what they said. All right, well now I know. That's not special. I had no idea.
Well, anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Me and my friend used to call a rich asshole young asshole.
So,
We need to start
are you
picking
under
my
pressure for
battles.
time?
No, I just thought it said 10 to 7. My spot's
Do
at
you
7, but
think,
it actually
guy?
says 10 to 6. We're all right.
Oh, we're perfect.
Yeah.
What did you just say?
Oh, it doesn't
Oh,
matter.
I
It's
haven't,
fine.
hooked up with, I
saying-
haven't hooked up with anybody. Oh, yeah. But, okay, so I went on these 2 first dates. I just go on, like, first dates once in a while. And, because, you know, I'm trying to put distance of experiences between me and this breakup. Like, if I go on a date, I'm already kind of taking a step.
Yeah, but
rather
also
than
it's
just
just
being
fun to go on a
sad.
date. You don't have to relate it back to him.
I did it for that reason. But, yeah, it is just fun to go on a date. So, one was a blind date. That was just a no. The guy
Aw.
wasn't, like, horrible or anything. It was just, like, not going to be
Yeah,
a thing.
shitty date. It's fine.
It wasn't even a shitty. It was like okay. We went to see Colin Quinn's show, Red State
Oh,
Blue State,
right, Red
which
State
is like
Blue
because I knew he
It's a
wanted to
little
take me to
weird.
that, and my blind date, the person who'd set us up was like, he wants to take you to Colin Quinn's show. I was like,
It's like-
done. I'll go with I'd go with anybody to see
Oh,
Colin
alright,
Quinn.
never
So we
mind.
went. It was fun, and I was not interested. And he hit me up for a while,
What that
and did this weird thing where he's kind of a comedy fan. So it's just like this was not ever going to be the right right match, but he would show up to where I had spots. And at first I thought it was a coincidence because he kind of is around, but I'd never really seen him around. So it was weird. And then it happened consistently over like a weekend.
It sounds like a real
And then
creepy
once
thing.
I was like hosting at Greenwich Village Comedy Club, and he was like, I was about to tell the story of his blind date, and I look over and he's there in the
Yeah, don't
audience.
date comedy fans.
And
It's
then
a
I ended
really
up not
bad
doing any
idea.
material because I was hosting,
kind
but
of
yeah, it was weird. It
So
was
did you
fucking
text
weird.
that guy and be like,
Yeah,
yo,
target rich
you got to back
environment,
off?
illness.
I told his friend that I was so creeped out by the whole thing. It was just so weird for him to be turning up places and a bizarre feeling. And also, it was like, I understand that you can't just give people hints. They can't read your mind. You have to be direct. But, you know, I was never responding to any text message. It was too much. It was just too much. When I did like morning radio or whatever, he
Okay,
was
well,
there.
can
So I
we-
told my friend, I was like, hey, can you please tell your homie to back off? He was like, yeah, you know, this guy is starting to get the feeling that you might not be interested. And
Yeah.
I didn't handle it right. I should
No,
have
you
been
just
like,
got to directly text.
so the second time, that's what I did. This guy approached
So
me
he
at the
just
gym. He was
repeated
kind of
what
cute.
She had already
He was
said,
cute.
as if
And he approached me at
he
the
is saying
gym,
it
which
for
is
the very
like
first
so
time.
off-putting. And I was like gonna
She-
shut it down
oh,
really
this guy
hard.
is so
But then we talked a
basic.
little bit, and I was like, you know what? Fine. I'll see what your deal is. We like went out.
That's
we had a drink.
off-putting because that's the way it used to be back in the day. You had to fucking talk to somebody.
No, it's so gross. It's disgusting to just talk to somebody. Like it's
But
what
that's
are you
the
doing
way it used to be.
at
Oh,
the
no.
gym? That's
Well, it used to be whatever. I mean, like.
no.
if you
I
see
get
some-
A lot of
I get
things.
that, but
there's
at
no
the
other
gym.
there's no other way to meet people.
I totally get that part, but at the gym is like it's off-putting at the gym. First of all, and you know the ex I was engaged to used to make fun of me because I would complain if guys would talk to me at the gym, but he was like, you're at the gym so that people will talk to you outside the gym, but you just like, they can't talk to you at the gym. I was like, yes, exactly. He was like, you just want people to look at your butt, but not at the gym.
So-
Yes.
So you just want to be admired. Okay, so this guy admires you at the gym, but he gets through your fucking anti-gym bias.
He came up to me when I had headphones on and was in the middle, not just in the
But
middle
anyway,
working out.
but you met him.
I was in the middle of a thing. Yes. So I met up with him. He was cute. We ended up talking. We like kissed at this bar.
Oh, you went to bar and kissed just like that.
We had an evening. He was like hosting some show. He's an
So you
actor. He's
just
not a
did that
comic.
little
Hosted a
slut
show.
shit.
It was
I could have
cute.
told you straight away that's a fucking disaster.
I already knew it was going to be.
Could
I already knew. I went into it. As soon as when he said actor to me, I was like, oh, don't tell people
Oh,
that.
forget it.
I was like, that's so off-putting. So I went. It was cute. He did a good job. He like did these like cute things from the stage, and I was gonna peace out. I texted my sister. I was like, maybe we should meet up right now. And then he just did a bunch of cute things, and I was like, all right, I'll stick around.
So you
have
hung
a
out
drink.
one more time.
No. This was one night. We went to a bar afterwards, and made out at this bar a little bit, which was like so cute. It was so middle schooly. Like it was just fun, and. Yes, we go to my gym. So we took an Uber, uptown, and I was like, "You're gonna go to your house. I'm gonna go to my house. I'm not hook-up-y like that." He was like, "Great." Kissed me goodnight, and that was
See
it.
that very American girl thing to do. Make it very clear and then stick to it.
Totally. Yeah, I told him in the car. I was like, "You're not coming home with me," and he was like, "Fine." And then I immediately lost interest. Like I right away, as soon as I was home. Look, it was the kind of thing where the opportunity to hook up would have been that night when we were kind of in the middle of like a thing, and like there was this energy or whatever. And then immediately afterwards, I was like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna like put
So
any
did you
more
text
energy
him and
into
just
this.
be like, yo, I'm just not into it?
So it took me a while to decide I wasn't into it. He had asked me what I was up to. I was like, hey, I'm not really sure. I'll hit you up later. Followed up with me again, and then I saw him at the gym, and I hadn't responded to his last text, and he was kind of weird with me at the gym, where he was
Ugh.
like, gave me
That's
kind
why
of
you
a
can't
face.
fucking date guys from the gym.
That's what
Let's
I'm
face
saying.
it.
You can't. You
Don't
can't.
shit where
Can't
you
shit where you
eat.
eat. It's such
Yeah.
a mistake. So
Wait,
I
hold
saw
on,
this
did we
one
just-
time, and he was like, hi, and then he gave me this like
Whatever.
look, like a look that demanded an explanation for not texting him back. And that
Sorry, guys.
instant, I just
I guess
knew
that was
this was
tacky.
just
We both
I was
said
just
the exact
completely
same thing
done.
at the same
And
time.
so I was doing my thing. I didn't see him to say
That's what
goodbye. Like
hacky
he was
means,
off
right?
doing something
Everyone
else. So I
thinks the
pieced
same
out of the
thing.
gym. And a little while later, like an hour later, he sent me this super long
Right,
text.
right.
Oh, no.
Couple paragraphs
Oh my
long.
God.
One fucking meetup. I can't stand the one meetup fucking you
Come
don't respect
on.
me motherfuckers, man.
It was
No.
it wasn't aggressive, but it was aggressive to send that length of a message to someone you've met once.
Yes.
But he was like, hey, also the first line of it, I was on the phone to my friend, text comes out, I go, oh my God, I just read it immediately out loud. My friend goes, no.
But that's the great thing about those texts. You get to show them to everybody. It's like, yo, check this out. How fucking crazy is this guy?
And I've told people in person, but I resisted the urge to screenshot it and send it to everyone because it's bad karma. I just felt in
No,
my
no,
heart
that's
that
not
was
fair.
not
You
fair
can
to
just show it
whom.
to people.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't screenshot it, but
No,
I did
no.
show everybody. Of
Yeah,
course.
that's fair enough.
Of course, it's like the
Disagree
funnest.
once.
But he was like, hey, he was like, first of all, I've never been. You're the first person to ever ghost me, both
Oh, one-
both over text and in person.
Oh, God.
Talk about unfuckable.
Christ.
Listen, if you're coming at me with that bait, and he was cute. He was attractive and like fit and stuff. If you're coming at me with that beta energy now, when we've been on one date and I saw you at the
Actually,
gym
it's
twice,
not, you know what? It's not actually beta energy.
It was
it's the
from him.
opposite.
Guy
It's
sucks.
fucking. He's such a fucking egomaniac. He was
No,
so.
it
He's so
was-
fucking. Can't believe that you dissed him.
It was butthurt
just
energy
wrong
though.
about
It was
that.
butthurt. So look, it's something that a not beta energy, someone was coming at me with like just confident masculine energy, which is attractive, would be like like it would just be like would have ignored the fact that I hadn't
Yeah.
texted back and had left the gym. I would have been like, when am I seeing you? That's what you do. You just assume the best. You assume that it's a positive situation in your favor. That's attractive, right? Instead of being like, hey, this feels
never
negative to
heard
me.
anyone
Maybe we
say
can
that
salvage
before.
it.
Oh,
Don't do
whatever.
that. Now
No.
it is really negative. You know what I mean? Now
Oh, that's totally
you've
negative.
entrenched the negativity because you're kind of weak.
Entrenched
And if
the
this weakness is
negativity.
coming at me like this and I barely know you, it must run
All right,
so
Kara.
deep. And I cannot have sex with you. And the way he wrote it was like, because we live in the same
You don't have to
neighborhood, but I
respect
don't
someone to-
hang out up there, so I don't like really know
See,
the
you gotta
neighborhoody
disconnect.
things. I don't even know like the parks and stuff. I'm always down here. I live like
Joking,
way
of course, That
uptown,
was a joke.
and we're downtown. I don't know if people know that.
No, there's no secrets about the location.
There aren't.
Like, as in, like, people know I'm in the Lower East Side. I post all the time on my Instagram.
Oh,
There's no
yeah,
secrets.
yeah, right. Okay, fair enough. All right.
Plus, there's so many women been up here. I mean, the word gets out. No, I'm just kidding.
Bitches, am I
I'm
right?
I'm kidding.
Well, they have to go through
I'm so
a strict security man first.
That's right.
Thank God you've got balls out security downstairs.
Oh, listen, I tip my security guys good. It's like, you keep your fucking mouth shut. I never walk through this door and you go, another one? What's this one, Dominican? I'm kidding. Guys, I'm kidding.
Fascinating.
I'm kidding. I didn't tip the guys. I know they keep their fucking mouth
They
shut.
keep the fucking mouth shut. They're professionals in New York. They never say shit. But he wrote me his whole thing. He goes,
Has he said
I
anything
don't know if
self-deprecating?
you thought that, were you under the impression that I
can't
wanted us
remember.
to, you know, do this and show you this and go there? It was like all this stuff that we talked about in the neighborhood. He was like, have you seen this lighthouse? No. Have you been to this park? No. He's like, you know, I don't want to pressure you to go to this park with me or this lighthouse. Really what I wanted was just Netflix and chill. Blah, 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 this
Oh
whole
my
fucking
God.
thing.
Jesus
Then
Then he
Christ.
goes, allow me to court you. Da 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 da. And I
Allow
was,
me to court you?
Yes.
What is
and
he, fucking Walter Raleigh?
also, what are we gonna? What are we gonna
Wear
get married? Like, this is
fedora?
too much. This
Court
is
Way
you.
too much. Court you for what? What are we gonna get engaged? Like, homie, I
Is it a
am
Shakespeare
freaked
Shakespeare
out.
degree?
Yeah, bro. What did you
But
come up with
even-
that yourself?
Actual people in relationships don't send more than 4 sentences in a message. Like, what are you
Amazing.
doing?
It was a
This is
longie.
embarrassing.
It was a
That's not
He was
longie.
writing his novel.
Wow.
It was a novel, and then
People are so sensitive.
people are
Ugh,
so sensitive.
so unattractive.
Well, when I was talking to
Anyway,
my
by the
friend-
way, we're supposed to go to a list of fucking breakup tips. We're
I
fucking
know, I know,
15
I
minutes
know.
on your goddamn 2 texts.
I know, but the audience, you're welcome. Bringing this heat. But I just go, my friend was like, wow, that's a lot. I was like, yeah, listen, someone who sends me a text like that, like kind of begging to be seen again, just means that he's already come like 7 times thinking of us having sex. And he's like, that message was like, I thought we were going to have sex. Why aren't we having sex? Why allow me to have sex with you?
Well, yeah, because he, some guys are so funny like that. Like, he would have fucked you and then ghosted you, and he'd be comfortable with that. But because you cut him off early, he's so hurt.
You're so wise. That's it. That's it. Oh my god.
I mean, maybe not. People tend to want to stick around.
Oh, yeah.
But,
shit. Look at that cute little
I mean,
head
I don't
she
know
puts
about
up.
all that. Maybe I feel like it's a projection a little bit.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm just here for the jokes. I'm not here for the truth.
Okay, the
right,
next
tip
the
number
next
2.
tip is something you already did, and we already spoke about. End as soon as you know it can't go on, which is what you did with your ex-boyfriend.
I did.
You just get
And
out
as soon as
It's
you
what
know
I
it
did
can't
with
go
the
on,
last
who
one,
the
but
fuck
not-
follows that?
But yes, well, I didn't the
You're
first
so
time.
wise.
It was probably years. Probably at
nailed her
least a
type,
year
no
when
problem
things
there.
were kind of,
Jesus
degenerate.
Christ.
When you live together, you're with
Yes.
someone for so long, it's really hard to do that. But the shorter term one was like
poor thing.
really intense. Something about the intensity of it made me just know to pull the trigger, I guess.
That's a tough one, though, because, sometimes you think you shouldn't go on, but it's just a tough period that you get through.
Yeah, 100%.
So it
You
is
think
a
it's gonna
tough-
get better.
It's very hard to know, really, when, if you know that
Is
you
it,
shouldn't
though?
go on. I think it is, because, first of all, if you're married and you have children and there's a level of commitment that's
Totally,
deeper,
yeah.
you got to get through that shit anyway. Like, I just think instinct is bullshit a lot of the time.
I agree. I'm talking as someone with unmarried, with no kids and no assets.
Yeah, well,
with
the 3 of
people.
us are.
Right, but that's the perspective I'm coming from.
That's really good what you said,
a
because
lot of the
I
time.
always think trust my instinct, and I've ended up in really bad relationships. So that's funny where you say that instinct.
Well, just in the sense that, like, I mean, there have been times. I mean, I've had some successful relationships, unsuccessful relationships, but I would have gladly walked very early on a couple of them.
Yeah.
And thank God that I didn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like that advice. However, I think you have to be. I think there should be like a paragraph under that, which I'm sure there was on Google, about the ways that you can check yourself if this instinct is believable. You should trust
Totally.
it.
Which I'm sure
You know
there
what?
was
And
on
even
Google.
I honestly just had this thought within the last couple of days that even though when I broke up with my most recent ex, it was so I was like, I have to break up with this guy. Like it didn't. I didn't even see a choice. I didn't even
It is
consider other
wild
options.
how
But
people think.
when I think back on it now, I believe we kind of had to break up because of timing issues and all kinds of shit. But
Yeah, I have
as
really
as
bad
far as
theory
just
of
what
mine,
catalyzed
so
the breakup, like
that's
the
why I
shit that had
watch
just happened between
how
us.
people think so closely.
Did I
They're gonna
act
have
in
to.
haste? Like
No.
No.
I don't. You guys don't think so?
No,
No,
I don't. I
it's
don't
not.
know
I mean,
anymore.
we're not talking about which I
I've, like,
understand.
on
But
purpose
actually,
put
I
myself
think
in
that was
people's shoes.
that for me would be beyond instinct. That
It's
is
not just
clear as
something in the
day.
background.
Fucking
If you-
the
yeah.
jury's
felt
going to
really
come back
disres-
unanimous.
I felt
No, if
disrespected.
you
I
had-
felt intensely disrespected. And I was like, I can't do
No,
this.
If
come
you
on.
hadn't have
Cheater,
walked
cheater.
out 6 months later, you would have been like, that should have been the red flag.
Yeah.
You would have felt so. You did something that
Cheater.
everybody is like, who, if they
What
were to
happened?
hear, would be so
What
proud,
happened,
because there's so many people who
Yeah.
wouldn't have. But that was 100% you
Spill.
did.
Okay.
All the
He
tea.
And I would go
caused-
further to say that part of the
I'm sure you
intensity of
would, wouldn't
emotion you
you?
were
'Cause you have to
feeling
one up.
was largely to do with the kind of guy that
God,
he
this
is.
guy sucks.
And they never end well, those relationships.
Really?
And he caused
that's not
drama.
fair.
He caused that. You didn't do anything, and that's I can't even see how anything
Mhm.
that was that
for sure
from
cheating,
what you've
right?
told us is
But
a
it's
very
good to experience that fucking intensity, man.
100%.
It's great. But it's
given
good that
me
you
a
got
lot.
out pretty unhurt, I feel. Well, you know,
You know, emotionally,
Low
it fucked me up a
level.
little bit.
And
But
he
is
saw
it gonna?
that she
Am I
disagreed.
damaged or whatever? No, I'm not. I'm honestly more
changed
fine
his
than
opinion
as I'm
immediately.
still hurt
Oh,
from
that
it. But
sucks.
I'm so much better off as like a strong
Is that
person
just
than I
how
was
people
before
are? They
any of these
just lie?
breakups.
You
know what I mean?
Yeah.
honestly, I
Feels-
think that you followed that advice.
Like
the,
most of the time.
the part of that advice that's definitely correct. You followed it, and
Yes.
I think you're better for it. Now it's impossible
Appreciate
to.
that.
Or is it
Well,
like
it's impossible
just
to know
specific
the what
sorts of
ifs.
people?
But I do think
just
the
like
what if of had I thought,
Somehow,
fuck it,
everywhere
I'll
I look, I
deal
find
with what happened, but
specifically,
we'll stay together. Have a stern conversation with him. I think the future
particularly
would have
dishonest
been
people
would have been
or-
dark.
Well, we had a stern
They're very
conversation in the
sick, the
course
average
of that
person- the
weekend,
average
and it
person's
didn't
a piece of
take.
shit.
I
And then there was
no.
another
So-
incident immediately after that. So that really was like I felt a lack of empathy from him. Like
It's
we
good
just
you
talked
dodged
about
the
it.
bullet.
But that's you leaving gives him the choice to kind of look and address his behavior, fix it, and come back to you and say, "I'm sorry, you were wrong." But he didn't even do that.
Well, look. To be fair, it's only been a few months, and to be fair,
Yeah,
to being
months.
more fair,
Months.
you know, I think that I when I saw him a few weeks back, I could
Why aren't
tell
they
that
using
he had
names?
also been
That's
in
so
pain, and I could
wild.
tell that doesn't mean take him back or whatever, but I could see that I wasn't the only one struggling, and I could also see that he had done a little bit of that work. Is it enough? No, or we'd be together, but.
Yeah.
It was. I could see that I wasn't the only
No,
one
you got
kind of
out.
going through this.
You got out in time.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
What's the next one?
Okay. Oh yeah. Be honest. Acknowledge the real reasons. So.
Oh God, it's hard to do that.
So hard. Oh my God. It's hard
So
to do
Well,
that
the real
ever.
reasons are I haven't fucking loved you for years.
the sex
You're
has gone real
fucking
bad.
Boring. You know, you don't lick my ass. You know, all these things that are essential in our relationship.
It's also so fixable. Lick an ass.
No, I'm
Grow
kidding.
up.
Guys, I'm kidding. I never broke up with anybody because they didn't lick my ass.
Good.
I consider ass licking to be a bonus, a privilege, not an essential part of the relationship.
Yeah.
Really? But it's such an easy ask.
Yeah, but you know, for you.
It's
Yes.
hard. It's
For,
hard.
for,
For
whom,
the-
for whom is it a struggle?
What,
What,
Listen,
to
there's
lick their
loads
ass?
of people on this.
I have never licked anyone's
I know, I'm
arse.
talking
Never,
to
she's
Irish
never even
people.
watched fucking porn.
What?
No, not
Anyway,
yet.
it's a
We're
regular.
gonna do. I'm going to watch it with a little camera, and you
Well, it's
know,
very
I'm gonna
shocking if
use
you've
it
never
for
seen
the-
it. It's a shock.
Well, I saw once. I've saw
You're aware of
a
it.
bestiality porn, and that's
Yeah,
good.
Don't
yeah,
start
don't-
with that.
I was 12, 13. The boys showed me.
Let's
No, but,
okay. We're gonna
Wait,
start you off
it's
a little
not important.
softer.
It's not. So let me see that.
It's so important.
Well, you
The
showed me.
honesty one is really hard because sometimes it's easier to just lie because you don't want to hurt. You know,
The
it's just if you're
boys, right?
honest,
Does that
you're
mean
like,
be
well, you're
honest with
specific
possessive
way?
and
It's just
jealous.
the
And then you know,
boys. Listen
if
to
they're
how she
aggressive,
speaks.
they might. They're not gonna
Yeah,
handle
but
it
I
well.
mean, listen. At the end of the day, the being honest part's not that important. The most important part is to fucking break up.
Dude, I thought
Yeah, I
it was be
agree.
honest with yourself. That's how I took it.
No.
It needs to be
Basically,
honest
it's
with the other
saying
person. No, you don't
say,
have to.
yeah, to say
Because
this
they
is-
should fix
this is
themselves.
You don't
why-
owe them anything.
Yeah, fuck that. That's not important.
It's
Okay.
about you.
That's a little awful.
I got one, which is
Okay.
basically if you're sure 100% that you don't want to be in this relationship, you gotta fucking not have contact. Contact
That's
is
what it says here. Break off contact.
contact is
Which
a
I did.
curse. You
Yeah,
gotta
I
you
agree.
do that.
No, I know, I
You know,
know.
people are like I
I
think
know.
we can still be friends. Yeah, maybe sometime in the fucking long-term future, but even thinking about the time where we might be friends is a trap.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah,
be fucking
no, I
friends.
agree.
Just
I
taking.
completely 100% agree. I
That's
think
cool.
it has to
Long term,
be-
you might end up being friends. I got
advice.
pretty good friendships with
Whoa.
long term exes, and I mean they're married with kids now. We're friends.
That's
So,
why.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But short term, if you really want this
So
relationship to
future
be
faking is
over, you
when, like,
can't have
someone's
contact.
like, oh, you know,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
Because there's
a year from now,
it
everything's
creates
gonna be great,
voids.
you
It
just
creates
stay
an
with me,
emptiness in you,
right?
and
So someone's, like,
when you
building
have
up
an
the idea of,
emptiness,
like, how
it's
awesome it's
desperate
gonna be in the
to be
future,
filled.
but
You
there's no
cannot fill it
actual,
with the
like,
very thing that's
motion
created
that
the
direction.
Well,
emptiness.
it's like look that's
probably
it.
just
It's the
lying
void
too.
already
It's called
exists whether you have
picture
contact or not because you're
It's one of
not
the
with
more
this
common-
person, and so the contact gives you this false
Like, oh,
sense
yeah,
of
baby, we're
proximity,
getting
right? Oh, it's like they're
engaged.
right
Yeah,
there,
right.
but they're not right there. You had shit that broke you up.
But not to mention that sometimes it temporarily heals the pain, and actually the pain
Right.
healing makes you feel like maybe this is better because I
Mhm.
hate the fucking pain. But that's like a fucking heroin addict halfway through his sickness being like, fuck it, just one. And then
100%.
you go, actually, this is better. And it's like, yeah, and guess what? You're fucking 3 years, you're going to be back in the same fucking spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to just take it. Take
you
an
gotta
L.
fucking sweat it out.
Take that L. Yeah, and
I agree.
breakups are not graceful, right? Like, you're gonna be messy. It's not pretty. You're not gonna look good. You're not, I don't mean like to the other person. I mean, you're gonna be a mess for a minute. You're gonna be like, you're gonna break out. Yeah,
You
you're
gotta
gonna
grieve.
skip the gym or whatever. Like,
it is grieving.
Yeah, it is.
Absolute grieving.
It's a loss.
well, it's a huge loss, and
And
something died.
And for the person who's doing the dumping, I think people forget that the person who's doing the dumping is also losing someone. And
Yeah, I don't think it's that much of a difference.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
I
hard for
agree.
both.
The whole who
And
broke
people-
up with who.
People are always like there for the person who has broken up with it, but if the person who is doing the breaking up is making that decision, it's so hard.
correct.
I feel as
Exactly.
bad.
It hurts to hurt people.
Okay,
There was advice then on how to do the breaking up, and it was that it should be, if you're going to break up with the person, it should be in their home so you can leave.
100%. That's also how a first date should go. Like, if you go home with somebody, go to their home and then leave.
How could,
Oh,
wait, how
I
could
wouldn't
both people do that?
go home to
What?
anyone's home on a first date because I wouldn't.
All right,
feel
not
safe.
first date.
I guess
I also
from
don't go home with people on
perspective.
a
I
first
mean,
date,
if I
but-
want them, I don't.
yeah, let's just stay focused.
Yeah, that was her. That was.
No, I know. I
blame
just,
you.
No,
Really does
nobody did
that?
anything wrong there. I just,
Oh, I hate this
I'm
guy.
just
You are
conscious.
so the dad of this podcast.
Well, somebody has to keep it.
Well,
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
so but then there was also this other thing saying do it in public, which I don't
But
think
it's
is
the
good.
tyrannical
I don't
father
think. I
and
think
not
in
the-
their
It's not
home,
always appropriate.
yeah,
You know.
but I guess the public thing is
Zaddy.
more if you're afraid for but yeah.
And I mean, honestly, I don't think it's as important to talk about like how to break up because I think at the end of the day, the
I
way to
think we're
break up is to
past
just fucking do
rock
it.
and
Yeah,
roll
you're
time.
right.
Whatever way it happens. I mean, I know that there's a ton of discussion to be had around what's appropriate and what's not. But most importantly is to begin the process because no matter how much they think you shouldn't have done it this way, people will throw their shit onto you about how hurt they are. The reality is that the hurt has begun, and that's
Yep.
the most
It's
important.
going to be a mess no matter what. And the truth is, the hows are kind of a lie because it's so specific to the people we're breaking up.
Yes.
Well, I forgot that there was another article I read where it's so back to the part where it says when you think about it, do it. But there was another psychologist woman and she was writing that tell the person all the issues you're having, give them a chance to fix it, and then if it's not fixed, then break up.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
Both
That's
times
good,
is what
but
I did.
that is very
Yeah.
good advice.
I think so because I think the other person might not be aware. I think it's so true. Communicate everything, even if it's something
Yes.
I
that
agree.
fucking irritate you that they're late all the time. The person might not like I'm late
100%.
to everything I go out, like dates. I'm always late. But like if someone was like, "Oh, it really bothers me," I'd be like,
That's
"Fuck,
very
I better."
self-centered.
Because I'm always on time for
thing
shows.
to
I can be
do.
on time.
Yep.
But I mean, that's very small. But I'm trying to think.
Well,
And
the
you-
bigger
though.
stuff would be like
I would hate that.
you seem to be uncomfortable with my affection, and
Yeah.
you tend to hide in your phone, when we're together, and I'm just wondering, do you have a massive problem with intimacy?
Yeah.
And if they're like, go fuck yourself, then you probably need to break up. But if they're like,
Right.
I'll go see somebody, and you
Yeah.
might have a chance.
Yeah.
Or even when guys get jealous, you're dating someone and they get a little bit jealous over another guy, and you say, this is a friend. You need to kind of check
Back
that,
off. Mhm.
and then if they check it, fine.
I know, but I mean, like, in terms of reaching a point where you're thinking, fuck, this is a problem, that is very good advice to
Yeah.
say. Don't just think, like, I don't think this is going to work out.
Mhm.
Say, we need to sit down because we're at a fucking major
No,
crossroads
yeah,
here.
That's what I'm saying.
And here's the things that I think they might have some things that come back to you.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and they might be able to just then
See
be
how-
like,
Well,
yeah,
look, anybody can fuck up. Like, a fuck up
They might have
isn't.
some things that come back to you.
I always my friend and I will always talk about relationships.
Alright, well,
always
this is
say
clearly
that it's
not
not
going
what you
well.
do; it's what you do next,
job, guy.
right?
You
Like
win.
you're gonna fuck up. You're gonna do stuff that hurts
Corporate
people.
speak in relationships.
Is
Well,
it super
the-
corporate? Because what I see is like you will fuck shit up professionally, personally, the whole deal. But that's to be expected, assuming your intent wasn't to be hurtful. It's not about that. That's okay. It's what you do next. It's not just the fact of fixing it, but like how you get from point A to point B. Like it's between those 2 points. That's what's important.
And I think we've all been in relationships. I'm sure our listeners have all been in relationships where
This is
you're
hushed
sitting with your friends
tones.
and
I
you're
think
like, we're
that's
just
the
going through a
word
tough
is-
time. And then 6 months later, you'll be
Right.
like, actually, we're in a good patch. So, I mean,
Some
relationships
things
do
hushed
have
tones, right?
Yeah.
ups and downs.
Right
But in relation
back
to
about
corporate
it.
speak, there was an
Not this thing,
Accenture
but really this
commercial,
is how he wants to be
and it
perceived,
was
right?
Tiger Woods
like,
in the
he's
weeds,
the-
high weeds.
He's the
And it
sweet-
said,
this guy.
Success
He's
is
the guy to
10%
play.
what you did and 90% what you do next.
Ooh, oh shit!
In
I didn't
other
know it was
words,
like that.
Tiger fucked up and he's in the weeds, but
See, I'm
if you
never
can
gonna
get
say
this
anything that's
motherfucking ball out of these
controversial. I'm just
weeds
gonna
and
say
into the
things like
green,
kinda
that's the
positive
more
and no one
important
can
part.
really
And he
have
did it.
So don't
much
focus on your
objection
mistakes.
to,
Yeah.
right? But I'm gonna say
I
these
know
hushed
that's really good.
tones
My
strike me
friend
as
gave me really
microphone.
good advice once because because I'm so careful because of bad relationships, I nearly expect perfection from the next ones. And she was like, no one's ever going to be perfect. You have to also remember you kind of have to accept some faults.
Oh, absolutely.
And you
It's
also
just-
can't
No
expect
shit,
the level of
people,
chemistry
everyone
with a new
sucks.
person that you had with someone that you have history with, right?
Yeah.
When you meet someone new, it's just not going to be what the last thing was. It's not. It's new. You don't know each other, so you can't. You know, and it always
Chemistry's
invites
like a
the
real thing.
comparison.
It's
And
to
just
who you were
something-
just with.
and it
And
means
something
what-
that's an extreme intensity at the start
It's
can
physics,
burn out very
right?
quickly.
Mhm.
So,
It's physics.
or where something else could build with intensity over time, which is like, I guess when I had that intense thing, with my next thing, I was like, oh, it's not as intense, but
Yeah.
now it's so much better than what I had before because we've built and got comfortable and got to know each other a little bit better. Whereas a lot of my stuff before were quite intense.
Yep.
Okay, so one final thing I want to talk about.
All right.
I'm getting under pressure for time here.
'Kay.
Katie has a set. 7 o'clock.
That's true, maybe I'll leave it 6:30. Okay.
Someone count the eyes.
This is a favorite topic of mine, but I can't
And the
speak. I
minds.
don't know if this is an absolute fact, but I definitely know that
Count.
men and women deal with breakups differently.
They really do.
And my throw out
You see
assumption
one key.
is that men definitely tend to feel it later. I alluded to it earlier. But in my experience, in my lifetime, I have found it quite easy to get over the initial breakup. But the hurt, or certainly the longing or the loss, tends to hit me a little later. Now, that might be a personal thing to me.
How much later would you say?
Well, I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, it might be personal to me that I look on this, I just go, I'm fucking free. And of course you feel it. You feel the hurt, but there's also this sense of, now I can do whatever I want. And it's actually, for some reason, a few months later. And
Jesus.
anecdotally,
This
I've
guy
heard a lot of women
sucks.
say, the guys tend to 3 or 4 months later come back and send texts, say, I'm thinking of you, or, whereas the women, you guys can speak with experience, really fucking feel the hurt straight away. And
And
perhaps
yeah.
even sometimes are shocked at how men just get on with it. But I don't know if this is a fact. This is just my own experience.
Well, I've always find by the time they come back to you, we've already done the hurt and moved on.
Well, that's what that's what I'm throwing out as perhaps a thing, but I don't know if it's a thing.
Yeah. So we talked about this a little bit, but I think that I think that there's some truth to that, definitely. But I also think that the way that men and
dare
women internalize a breakup is completely different, right? Like the
Yes.
way that, like, and also I think that comes from like a lifetime of how you internalize
Listening.
whatever, taking some L or some failure or something, right? Like, I think that men are used to having to suck it up. And yes,
Yes.
there's an element of like,
So you think it's an
Correct.
element of that sort of male upbringing of just
think it's
fucking deal with it
valuable.
versus
Lord.
women are allowed to have
As human
emotions.
beings.
it's not just fucking deal with it. It's deal with it and then figure out
problem with
what
the
you
men and women
did
dynamic
to
is
avoid this
that
going forward.
men care
Women
about
don't
women
get
as a
that
whole,
same. Our
and
friends
women
don't talk
don't
to
care
us
about
that
men as a
same way
whole.
for the most part. I mean,
And that's just like a.
I think for me it's
That's just
different
a
because I'm in
fact,
comedy,
right?
whatever. My friends,
And again,
you
we're
know,
talking
our friends are slightly
this is one of the
different maybe
80%
than the
thing.
norm.
We're talking about
But
in
you know,
aggregate.
women are
No
encouraged
specific
to
individuals, so
self-soothe and
Just look at the laws.
find
Like in the
ways to
rom-com, have the ice cream with the
Women
friends.
have the
Listen,
ice cream,
feel
socialize, whatever.
any
And men, I think, are encouraged to
to
kind of work through
things
it,
nice
which is
for
the
men as a
actual
whole.
correct approach.
And,
Ice cream
men
doesn't
as a
fix
whole
it.
do-
Like getting drunk with your friends doesn't fix it. The truth
yeah,
is,
give
and
them
we
the
mentioned this a little
everything,
bit, like, you know, off the podcast, but if something happened not to
Not
your liking
sure
that you were
how
also a
to
participant
fix
in,
that.
right? A breakup takes both people, whether
sure
you were broken up with or
could
whoever's
be
fault it
in a
was.
short-
You were
like a
in it,
reasonable time
so
scale.
it's partly your fault. And honestly, to move forward, it would behoove you to just accept it as your
Behoove
fault.
you?
Yes, my breakup was not, I didn't catalyze it
behoove
necessarily,
you.
but if I just go, all right, I hated this, it fucking sucked, it still kind of sucks, like, what did I do? I
She's
can
not
think of
wrong,
10
but it's
things,
kind of a wild thing
you
to say
know?
right there.
And that's not to say that he's faultless, but going forward, I can just be better and avoid that exact kind of hurt again.
Yeah.
It's like a masculine approach.
But do you think in general that women feel it more initially?
Up front, you know, that is so general, and my experience
Yes.
hasn't exactly
Yeah.
been that way, and the experience of my
I gotta
female
talk
friends
to
hasn't
I
exactly
gotta
been
talk
that
to
way.
a psychiatrist. I gotta talk
Stop
to like
cutting her
an
off.
expert on that.
You're in
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
same-
because
okay.
that
Say,
doesn't.
There is that
you know,
meme. There's that meme.
studies
going-
studies show that
Yeah.
He's talking-
this
he's
is what
talking
happens
over
in the
them
male
to their
brain,
faces.
and this
Yeah.
is what happens in the
While
female
engaging
brain
in a conversation
upon
with
breaking
them.
up.
It's
I
weird
can-
because I actually can't. It's more vague in my mind what the female experience is because I've had it both ways. But with men, it
Yeah.
actually does ring true because that's kind of what happened. You know, my ex started kind of texting me like a few months later. I think initially maybe it might have been a relief for both of us, but also I was really going through it. Like it totally was the worst, especially initially. It was the worst. I don't think he was. I don't think we're human beings. I don't think anyone's exempt from that pain of a breakup.
Well, let me give you another anecdote, a little personal anecdote, just to give a
Right.
bit of context. So, my
Give you-
engagement breakup, which was
Oh, this guy
a biggie.
sucks.
We owned a place together,
Ooh.
and
It's
which was
giving this to
no big
them.
deal. We weren't living together though.
Okay.
So,
guys, don't one thing,
because
it's
as you
all
know,
of
as
them
I said,
added
she
up.
was somewhere else, and I very rarely talk about her, and she certainly
It's
does
always
not
the
like
same
me
way.
talking about her. So
You're
I keep it
always
as general as possible.
Always.
But there was some practicalities in that when the beginning of the breakup started, which was heavy jelly, by the way, which I'm definitely not getting into.
Okay.
But it wasn't her plan to be breaking up. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So anyway, long story short, it was all very dramatic, and I said to her, listen, I said, if it turns out
This guy
that
sucks.
we stop talking to each other
so
completely,
much.
I just want you to know that you don't have to worry about the apartment for now. I'll look after it all financially for 1 year, and we'll deal with it all in the future when everything is calmed down and
Future
we're like
faking.
more sure about ourselves and we're not fucking angry at each other,
Faking. Oh,
and
it
we'll
makes
just
me
deal
so
with it then.
angry.
So just don't
Grrr.
message me about how much you owe
Grrr.
me. Just fucking forget about it for 1 year.
Grrr.
And she said,
"Owe me? How much you owe me?"
"You're
Oh,
a
this guy's sucks.
sociopath.
Yes.
How the fuck can you be that practical at this time?"
That's a guy thing.
And I said to myself, I guarantee you there will be some time in 6 months' time where she'll be like, thank fuck you thought of
Yeah.
that. Because it is so great to not have to fucking contact him right now about this fucking mortgage, you know? No, but at the same
You
time,
paid for it exclusively for a year.
well, that's irrelevant about the, we won't talk
All right,
about
all
the
right,
ins
all
and
right.
outs.
You don't
of-
want to talk about it. Okay.
No,
That was
but
a
I'm just
humble
saying, like,
brag.
the thing is that it was a
Sucks.
thought that I
This guy
had a
sucks.
practical thought
Sure.
about how, and that was almost offensive to her.
Yeah.
But it was very normal to me,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that's where I'm not talking about that to sort of reveal bits about my previous relationship. But what I mean is, I do think sometimes that
Okay,
men
let
go
me
into
say
these
he
weird
is.
practical places, and women go into these more emotional places.
Yeah.
And I don't think one is better than the other. But actually, in my personal opinion, I think long term it's probably better to allow yourself to feel the feelings rather than to be
Right.
practical. But then there's a part of me that thinks actually the practicality is kind of handy.
No, I think I think practicality, and I like, I'm a woman and I know what you're saying,
Whoa.
but I still, when I broke up with my ex-boyfriend, I packed up everything. When I woke him up, I said, we're breaking up, but I'm giving you a week to move out, just to make it easier, because it was originally my place, and I moved down to my parents for a week. So our breakup was very practical in that regards, and he told me
Oh,
that
boy.
I was a monster but I was like, I thought I was being so nice. Like, I
Oh,
was
yeah.
thinking in the line of thinking you're thinking, but not as extreme. But
Yeah, but it's the
it was a
same
very
But it's like
without
there's-
bringing a drama to it, without bringing, I would definitely close off the emotions yeah.
you gotta just
But
get
I-
through. You can't be super emotional all the time. You gotta like live and
But
deal
I-
with rent and stuff.
Correct.
But I also had a heavy male influence in my life.
Yeah.
Like, my dad was the one bringing me up. He was the one
Yeah.
telling me what to do. So maybe that was just because
I think there's
I was
also like
following.
a biological element to it, also, right? Like,
Katie's got big dick energy.
yeah, swing
Yeah,
it,
baby.
But, like are like women have babies, and men don't.
Our babies.
So men need to be raised to adulthood.
Men can't handle after one gym date that you don't fucking text them
Couldn't
back.
take it. But there's an element
One
of like, you know,
guy.
back in caveman
One
days or
person.
whatever, you couldn't be so sad that you couldn't hunt a buffalo. Do you know what I mean? Like, you would
Yeah.
die.
It's
So, you know,
stupid
and a woman can't go out on a buffalo hunting rampage because her kids would die. Like,
there
there
is
isn't there
I
is
mean,
a
there's loads of
sense-
problems with going back to the.
but
I'll rationalize a lot of fucked up shit now. We want to go back to those times, just for the record.
but I know you're like not allowed to say anymore. There's differences between men and women, but there are
Oh, clearly
huge
there are
differences between men and
Clearly there
women,
are.
and it's not that it's hard and fast for everybody, but there are tendencies that exist.
No, we can
between
pretend that
people.
that's not the case, but that's fine. These people are in denial.
But it's crazy.
Let them
It's
have their
crazy.
moment.
But there people tend towards certain
Winter is
things.
coming.
Winter's here. Winter's here.
These people don't know. They think they know, but they don't know.
But they don't know. So it makes sense why a man might his initial response might be more pragmatic, and a woman's response might initially be more like emotional, right? You're
I
not
should've-
bound to it.
I should have done more research. I should have actually, if this podcast was properly fucking educational, I would have found out the actual science versus the sort of assumed anecdotes
Yeah.
around the male-female response.
But there's not a way to do this study or whatever that's not also just super anecdotal. You
I
what
know, I
Like,
know,
what,
I
what's
know.
the science going to be on it?
I know. I guess that there might just be more informed voices than mine.
Yeah, but is
But
this
who
an
the fuck-
educational podcast?
Listen, all
It's
these
just- you're
fucking,
just
all the
talking shit.
millionaires that I can see are all fucking full of shit.
Yeah, they are.
Making shit up, speaking confidently.
100%.
That's
Everyone's
exactly
full of
what
shit.
you're doing. He
I
keeps
have
to
telling
go.
himself.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
it's
an, yeah. Well,
frustrating.
this has been long.
This is long.
Where are you?
fun.
New York Comedy Club?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you'll be there quick.
Well, it says 30 minutes. Gramercy.
Turdy.
On what?
On Google. It's I
Yeah,
don't know.
but-
I guess
No, but how are you getting there?
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna get the public transport.
Oh, get an Uber.
Yeah, get an Uber.
I'll get you an Uber, Katie. How
Will
about
ya?
that?
Oh,
Yeah, I'll
that's
get you.
such a treat.
I'll get you an Uber.
Oh, so fucking like a famous person.
I can't not get you an Uber. I got fucking Shane an Uber yesterday because we gave him the wrong address.
Oh, you know what? You know
Last
what?
week.
You know what Shane said to me at the party after the podcast. Sorry, this was really good advice.
See
We
how
were
it's
talking
like
about
the
when you
immediately
date someone
denigrated her?
scary, and he was like,
Oh, I hate
"The
this
best
guy.
sex I've ever had are people I'm afraid of." Isn't
That is such a man thing to say. 'Cause the girl's afraid she's gonna die.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
All right. Well, Karen, thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you guys
Thanks
for
for the
having me
donuts.
on.
We'll have you
You're
on
welcome. I had
again.
the best time. I would love to come back.
You're a voice for hire for sure.
This was the
Fucking
best.
Turn on the mic and let her go.
Yeah, honestly, Irish
Katie
people.
can't talk because she's going at the fucking donuts.
So good. I'm
Irish
eating
people
this
are
whole
such
one.
a fucking trip.
All right. Well, then let's go.
This
Katie has a
guy.
show,
All right.
and we're gonna get on with our lives.
Yep.
Thank you. Oh, whoa.
Oh,
Jesus.
pluggies.
Do some plugs.
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter, Karen Kardashian, Keren. I never tweet, but if you tweet at me, I'll say hi. And then I'm on Insta.
Oh, don't say that.
My IG is Karen Margolis, Keren Margolis, and that's
Say
my
it one more
fave.
time slow.
Keren, like your people, but spelled my way. Margolis.
That
Insta's
was
the way
very
to go.
smart how she
Yes,
just,
we're
described
we're
that.
big pushers of Instagram in this podcast.
Are you?
Yes.
Yeah, it's my
So
favorite.
please message Karen and just
My
let her
favorite.
know that you were listening and make it feel like it was worth her while coming downtown for the podcast. And well, Katie, let's just sign off now. Save an extra bit of talking at the start of the podcast.
Keep DMing us. I
Yes.
just ate that donut. It was real good. Keep DMing us. Or email us at
Contact the shift at gmail.com.
gmail.com. The
At
amount of-
Katie Boyle Comic. Don't forget.
The
At Des
minute-
Bishop.
the amount of times I had to redo those intros when I was doing them because I kept going contact at the shift, and then I was like, no, it's not us.
Well, I wasn't. I don't want to always just be correcting you. It's not fair. It'll
Thanks.
sound like a fucking. Send us some feedback. And breakup stories would be great. Did you get any, by the way?
have to
I did.
always be correcting
We completely forgot to
Holy-
include them in the
You
episode.
guys are the
you.
worst.
This guy. Holy shit, this
Oh, dude, I
guy.
can't remember it now.
Holy shit, this
Doesn't
guy.
matter. We'll talk about it the next time.
Yes, we will. Thank you so much. Sorry for screenshot those.
Actually, next week I'm going to Vegas, so I'm actually I'm going to do an interview with a
been
woman
actual
called Kate
disbelief,
Shalor,
guys.
who is like very much in the sort of sex advice world.
Cool.
So Katie's getting a week off. I'm in Vegas doing the Comedy Cellar, so we're gonna get like a proper sex expert, a sexpert,
Hey.
our first
so
actual
great.
sexpert,
Proper.
right?
I'm so excited. I'm excited to listen to it.
We've had other people like Shane, who's just like us, just people that pretend they fucking know what they're talking about.
Who's Shane?
Well, I've never pretended to
He was
that I know
our,
what I'm talking about.
last week's guest, Shane Smith.
Oh, okay.
He's great. You met him at the face
I
tattoos.
did? Oh, face
Yeah.
Yeah,
tattoos.
face tattoos.
I'd
And if you're into
expressed my
tattoos,
thoughts
he's not
about
into you.
Yeah, yeah.
Really? I'm not.
No,
into-
I'm just
No,
Oh,
okay,
you're
okay.
He'd
right.
love you.
Yeah,
You're,
no,
you're
no
his type.
tattoos.
You're his
Really? Yeah, I'm a
type.
blank canvas. No
Yeah,
tattoos
yeah.
on me at
Yeah,
all.
me neither. There's no tattoos in this entire podcast, right?
Interesting.
No, I've none.
Yeah, no, and pubic hair, but that might be.
We have pubes.
I don't.
Yeah,
you
well,
not?
yeah,
Nope.
that was last
Oh.
week.
I
so-
haven't since I was like 17.
What they
I
fall?
just like can't do it. Nope. I just.
Oh, you got them lasered off?
Nope.
They just fell
I'm
off?
very like fair
This is a
complected,
pube.
very
This is
very
a
blonde.
pube.
So I just.
It's a pube-friendly
Wait, what do
podcast.
you do?
Is
wait,
it?
wait,
I just with a razor. Here's the thing. It's really easy, and I don't ever get like ingrown hairs or anything. I'm like
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
you
like
ever
a
get
hairy
genital
person.
warts?
Never.
What?
My God.
Turns out that pubes are a protection against genital warts. We learned that last week.
So are condoms.
Not-
So it's not hooking up with anybody.
No,
Not a guarantee
So it's being
against.
a frigid
Just so
bitch.
you know, it is not 100% protection against genital warts.
Yeah, but being celibate is.
Yes, exactly. Which you have not
And I'm
been
the
all your life, you
queen.
fucking liar.
I'm the queen of not fucking people.
Anyway, listen, guys. Thank you so much. Give us 5 stars on iTunes. All that stuff.
And
Spread
reviews.
the word.
Good reviews.
Yeah, reviews. Spread the word. Still trying to get on Spotify. With Acast now, we're still on fucking Spotify, but we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, hit me up.
Thank you.
Goodness. Goodbye, folks.